Nothing worse. He played 33.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would have.
More than 100. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Thursday, March 16th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. That's a new one for today. We are brought to you by Sorare. We got a 5-game slate, and it's a pretty difficult one because for right now, we don't have real value plays, and some of the value plays that I'm getting to should not be played in the volume that I am getting them. So that should be a really entertaining conversation. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Good morning, Adam. Good morning.
Yeah, how's it going, man? Well rested. Looking forward to the show.
I bet you are. Bet you are. Didn't affect me at all. Wasn't on it. Didn't care. I just got to sit back and laugh at the entire experience. I was out of the house. I couldn't even save you in that one. So
yeah, no, I'm pissed. Like I said to Lofty, and I said it on Twitter. Like I'm usually good for like one of those a year, but normally I at least like did something fun the night before. Last night I just had like a couple of glasses of wine. I watched the new episode of Ted Lasso. I went to bed. I just forgot to plug my phone in, and it died.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. Love seeing it. Yeah, I opened my. I had a dentist appointment in the morning, and then I was getting new wiper blades for the wife's car. She's on a little bit of a road trip. And I look at my phone and it's just like, yo, Adam's not here. Can you do the show? I was like, I can't even do anything on this one. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and normally like I naturally wake up at like 8:30 and then I go back to sleep until the strategy show. So I woke up, I saw that like it was light out. I was like, oh shit. And my phone was dead. I'm like, yeah, it's probably like 8:30. I get up, walk in the kitchen. It's like 10:35. I'm like, oh, well, that ship sailed.
Yeah, at least you don't have to move any faster at that point in time. You know, right. It's not like, it's way worse if you see that and it's like 9:40 and you're
like 10:03 and it's like, oh, guys, I can jump on.
Yeah. Well, 5 games here. We don't have like an overwhelming amount of injury news, but we do have one spot that could create a large amount of value. It's a scary slate. We got a lot to talk about. And because it's a 5-gamer, we kind of have to dig into everything for each team. So you ready to get this one started?
Yeah.
Well, here we go. The Denver Nuggets are 14.5 point favorite, 2 touchdown favorites against the Lions in this one, 229 total. For Denver, not too much to worry about. Jamal Murray is probable. We don't have anything else that really matters. Zeke Naji still out. And the field seems to just think this one's a bit of a crapshoot. Here are the ownership numbers for everybody of relevance for Denver. 15, 14, 11, 20, 16, 15, 9. Casting a very wide net through Denver. The high man there was Aaron Gordon at 20%. Let's start with Jokic, I guess, although comparing him to the rest of the slate is probably the easier way to do this. How do you feel about him today at 11.6?
I mean, he looks good if you can get there. He's showing up around like 18% for me in the not that I would have 18%, but he's showing up in like 18% of the optimal lineups that I built before the show started. He just looks like a good play. That goes without saying. You know, it's a good matchup as well, but he is expensive. He is a center, so there's opportunity cost there. But, you know, also likely to be the highest scorer on the slate, you know, pretty much between him and Giannis as far as highest projected player goes.
Yeah, as of right now, I prefer Giannis, not only because I have him projected better, but getting that power forward eligibility helps as well. And I just don't know how you, like, the fact that he's 15% owned to me is really interesting because maybe that's a testament to why all of this ownership is coming into crappy plays, but I'm finding it very, very difficult to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have great value. You know, somebody mentioned it in chat, and I think you mentioned it as well. You know, Cameron Payne is showing up as a value play here. Torrey Craig is showing up as a value play. On slates like that, you know, it does make you hesitant to get to somebody like Jokic. But at the same time, when you look at projections, you have Jokic and Giannis basically like 7, 8, 9 points ahead of the next closest guy.
Yeah, it's a big gap. What do you look at when you look at the rest of Denver? Because obviously on a 5-game slate, Murray, KCP, Gordon, Porter, Brown, like these are all guys you're going to have to get to some degree. Does anybody stand out to you?
No, I think they all look pretty similar when you consider, you know, pricing and position. You mentioned Aaron Gordon getting the most ownership. I don't really have any issue with that at 6,200. We know the ceiling that Jamal Murray gives you. He's particularly appealing if like you can't get to Jokic in a lineup. At least you're getting a very high upside piece of this offense. In games where Jokic disappoints offensively, you're likely to see, a big game from Jamal Murray. He played with the second unit again last game. We've seen that sort of alternate between him and KCP, but the last couple of games, it's been Jamal Murray. If that happens again, it makes him look better than he otherwise would. Michael Porter Jr. at 6K is fine. KCP and Bruce Brown are both cheap enough. It's just, a pretty appealing team to get to across the board.
I didn't get to much on my first run, which is kind of frustrating. Murray is the guy that I'm getting to the most. That's basically neutral to the field. I have two other teams where I'm basically just jamming their entire starting five in and rotating around it. So we'll see how that ends up shaking out. And it's not that I have any problem getting to Denver. If this one's competitive, you're going to be happy that you have pieces of it. Even if it's a blowout, you're going to want one or two of these pieces probably, because a matchup against Detroit is fantastic. The only problem is these guys are all sort of just priced where they should be.
Yeah, they all just look like secondary plays, for lack of a better word. Not to say that like I don't like them. It's just none of them stand out as being particularly underpriced.
Is there anything that we should be looking at deeper than their like core rotation? Jeff Green's pulling some ownership. Christian Brown is now a part of the rotation again, or so it seems. Zach Lowe had been talking about that too, that like they kind of need to get him back because he's functional and some of these other guys clearly aren't. But can we go to anything else here?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Green at 3,100, if you want to roll the dice on him, fine. Like, he's not really any worse of a play than Cameron Payne, but it's just that kind of slate. You're expecting, 16 to 18 minutes from him, nothing to get excited about. Christian Brown should be in the rotation, like you said. We saw him get fourth quarter minutes 2 games ago, and then, get both halves last game, but probably not playing enough minutes that he matters. I don't think there's really much else to like.
Yeah, the problem here is that Jeff Green, Brown, Chanchar aren't good per minute guys.
Yeah. And Chanchar wasn't even in the rotation last game.
Right. Oh, God. And we got to 8 minutes of Thomas Bryant. I don't think that that's something that we really need to touch on. And then we go to Detroit. I feel like they've played 30 games in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, it feels like they have back-to-backs, and then they take a game off, and then they have a back-to-back again, like just constantly.
They played on the 4th, 6th, 7th, 9th, 11, 13, 14, and now today on the 16th. They're like every slate I have. I felt like they haven't played a weekend game in a while. Like the one they did play on Saturday, so like I don't notice it. It just feels like they're on every slate I talk about.
Yeah, they're there constantly, and it sucks.
That said, there is no ownership coming into this Pistons team. Jaden Ivey is back. Still no Boyan, Bagley, Livers, Burks, Cunningham, Diallo, Beef Stew. 17% ownership coming to Jalen Duren at 5,200 is the high man. 11 to Ivy. Everybody else is single digits. Let's just start here with Duren. I don't understand this ownership at all.
No, neither do I. You're getting 48 minutes from Wiseman and Duren. If Wiseman avoids foul trouble and blowouts, he's likely getting the bulk of the minutes. If you wanted to go to some Jalen Duren in tournaments because he's relatively inexpensive and he has a high ceiling, that's fine. But I don't really know why he's pulling as much ownership as he is. He's probably easier to get to than Wiseman is at 6,900, but doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I don't. At first, I just thought I looked at the wrong column and thought it was like somebody else, and then I realized it was him. That it doesn't like they've pretty well established that they want it to be Wiseman.
Yeah, and I mean, last game you can't read too much in the last game because you got 3 fouls in the first 2 minutes and 39 seconds from Jalen Duren, and so he didn't play the rest of the first half. He did play a very sizable second half rotation where he played about 15 minutes in the second half. That was not because of foul trouble that I can tell for Wiseman either. So like you still have a path to a good game for Duren, but I think expecting something like 26 minutes, 20 for Wiseman, 22 for Duren is pretty reasonable.
Yeah. And at that point, I think they're probably just trying to get Duren a little bit more minutes in that run. Like you had Wiseman play from the end of the first quarter through the entire second quarter. I'm not surprised that he took like a slightly shorter run in that third quarter, but seems like they want to go to more Wiseman. I don't really have either one of them. How do you feel about Ivy and Hayes? Because just based on the way that the ownership is coming in my mind, I'd rather just flip-flop them. I don't really have much of a preference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting to much of either one. I think I do get to Jaden Ivey first. Similar prices, higher usage guy. We know that, he's involved as a playmaker as well, although not to the same extent as Hayes, but, only a $300 difference there. I think it is Ivy that I get to the most, but I don't think I get a lot of this team at all.
Yeah, I got 12% of Hayes and 6 of Ivy. So I basically flipped the ownership on its head. Those are the only two guys that I got a single share of here. Omer Yuri is up to 5,100. Rodney Magruder at 5K. I assume both of those guys are starting. They're 2% owned and should be. Is there any merit on a 5-game slate to be thinking about, the guy that is going to play and close in a blowout?
I don't really think so, especially at their salaries. Like Omer Yuri, I guess, would be out there, but he's 5,100. RJ Hampton's up to 4,400. And the other thing too is, I mentioned it in chat, like obviously this game can blow out, but Denver's second unit is so bad that it's really difficult for them to actually blow a team out because the starters do it, and then the second unit just lets them right back in the game.
Does that make the bench for Detroit more interesting? Should we be looking at, I can't name anybody because they all suck. I was going to say Corey Joseph.
Right. That's kind of the problem. The salaries are up because of them being, banged up. If you want to play some $4,900 Corey Joseph, like whatever, but you shouldn't feel good about it. And it's not, the pricing just isn't favorable on these guys.
And look, I know everybody wants to look at these lines and be like, this is a blowout. You can't do this. You can't do that. We just saw the Rockets beat the Celtics, a day ago, 2 days ago? Like, we see this all the time.
We just saw the Spurs beat Denver.
Right. Like, anytime you see these blowouts or like these potential blowouts, 20% of the time, the giant underdog is just going to win that game outright.
Denver is also below 500 on the road this year.
It's crazy. Speaking of guys or teams that are below 500 on the road, like you obviously know about the Warriors being terrible on the road this year, right?
Yep.
Apparently, so much of it is just incredible shooting luck. Like the opponents are shooting like 40% from three against them on the road. And
I'd assumed part of it was that they rest guys on like road back-to-backs too.
Yeah, I think it's much ado about nothing there. I don't think that the team that has won the most championships over the past however many years before you can get to like the Spurs in that case is just suddenly like, how do we do this, man? How do we just roll into Oklahoma City and get this done? Like,
yeah, I think it's a much bigger issue for Denver considering that they have a built-in home court advantage.
Yeah, altitude makes a gigantic difference. I got nothing else for this one.
Me neither.
It's definitely I think the least appealing game on today's slate.
I mean, I think the Denver side's pretty appealing.
I don't think there are any like priorities though from the Denver side. I mean, like Jokic withstanding, like
right.
Him just
yeah,
being
it's
himself.
more like 15 to 20% on guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. Schedule for the rest of the day. This one's pretty easy. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. You'll get that from 6 until 7:30. That's going to be Greg and Eric. Make sure you're sticking around to let Eric know that not only does he not know how to choose supporting characters for TV shows, he doesn't know shit about cereal either. I don't want to dig into this too much, but him putting grape nuts at number 1, if he ever meets my wife, she might hit him. I think grape nuts might be Katie's favorite cereal.
I don't think I haven't had any cereal on that list other than Raisin Bran, I don't think.
Surely you've had Captain Crunch.
Maybe like once. I don't know.
I mean, like, it's obviously not a cereal you're eating a lot as a grown man, but like, I think every child had Captain Crunch.
Maybe. Like, I never liked cereal that much.
Neither did I, really. I'm a dry cereal guy. I know you like to drink milk with your cereal like a crazy person.
Yeah, no,
I like it dry.
I'm boring when it comes to cereal. Life, Cheerios, Raisin Bran, pretty much the only cereal I eat.
Frosted Flakes?
No.
See, that was Frosted Flakes with milk is the only cereal I eat with milk. Everything else is dry.
Oh, like you mean you don't put milk on your... Not only do you not drink milk with your cereal like you should.
I would be more likely to have a sidecar of milk than I would ever be to put it in the bowl.
Yeah, that's just weird.
I want the good sugar taste in my mouth. I don't want to dilute it with milk. But, I mean, I think Blueberry is something people like a lot. Crave S'mores has to be delicious. I don't understand how that could be a bad cereal. S'mores are already great. This guy needs to just never, ever, ever make brackets. The supporting actor one was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Also, before I forget, it's not just schedule for the rest of the day. Sign up at Stokastic. We want you guys to get in behind the paywall. You can get 50% off a week or a month, any sport package or our platinum package, as long as it doesn't include Fantasy Cruncher. Get in. You get projections, ownership, boom, bust, everything we talk about, you get access to. The lineup generator, lineup builder. But we want you to get into the Discord because that's the best place that you can go to let Eric know that his thoughts on serial and supporting actors are garbage. He's in Discord all the time. You can hit him up and let him know that he has no idea what he's doing. You said life?
Yeah.
Was a Kicks guy? Cinnamon Toast Crunch, also fantastic.
Yeah, that's fine.
When my parents were living with us for that stretch, my mom was like a cereal snacker, and Katie picked up like a Costco-sized box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So it took me a while to plow through that after everything was over, but I was pretty happy. As a pothead, that was a pretty good snack. Let's keep it moving. Now we can talk about a little bit more interesting stuff. Sacramento Kings. How do you eat cereal without milk? Pretty easily. 2.5-point dogs in Brooklyn. 238 total. Sacramento gets Trey Lyles back after his brief suspension. Otherwise, everybody else is in. This is sort of like the Denver ownership. It's, 15-ish% going to everybody. But I like a couple pieces here for Sacramento more than I like them for Denver.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Certainly an appealing team to get to. You have Fox, you have Sabonis. Those guys are always going to look like good options. And then, you get to the wings where it's volatile in terms of playing time. You can't consistently say Keegan Murray's going to play, 30 plus minutes or Herter's going to play 30 plus minutes. But if they're playing well, the minutes are there for them to get, and they are all inexpensive. Harrison Barnes coming in at 5,100, Kevin Herter at 5,700, the most expensive of the group. Keegan Murray, 4,100 is fine. Malik Monk should give you 22-ish minutes off the bench at 4,500. Trey Lyles averaging around 20 minutes per game at 4K certainly has a path to being good. So I think it's just, Fox and Sabonis are clearly the guys that you're going to feel good about getting to, but mixing in some Monk, Barnes, Murray, Lyles, Herter, all of that is fine. Probably wouldn't play Murray and Lyles together.
Yeah, that was a question that I was going to ask you there. Wanted to get your thoughts. You already said it, so that's helpful. I am getting a bit of Murray. I did cut his minutes down. I went to 27 on Murray. How do you feel that?
Yeah, it's fine. 26, 27.
Okay. And then I went, the other 21 to Lyles in this case. I am getting to the Barnacle of the Bay, which is always great to do. Fun. I like it, but no Sabonis for me, really. No Fox. Neither one of those things make me feel good. Monk got some shares. Obviously, Lyles looks like an inch, with on a day where we don't have value, 4K Trey Lyles with power forward center is helping out considerably. Interesting team to get to just because this 238 total is appealing.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously you're getting a lot of playing time from Fox and Sabonis as well, in addition to being very high upside plays.
Yeah, I might need to give Fox another minute here. Something I'll pay attention to as we finish up here. Would you set any other rules for Sacramento?
I don't think so.
Nothing regarding like Herter, Monk, and anything in that area?
Probably not. If you wanted to do like, I don't know, max 2 of like Herter, Murray, Monk, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. For Sacramento, I can't imagine we're trying to go to like Davion Mitchell or Metu in this spot. And now that Lyles is back, I don't get the sense we're going to get Kessler Edwards.
Yeah, I don't really see a way to get any of those guys. If I did go to one, it would probably be Edwards, but I don't think I can get there.
And he's such a bad per minute guy that like you really need those minutes too. I see Sacramento looking a lot like Denver, just a sort of a better game environment.
Agreed.
Anthony Davis, member for 21 months. So disrespectful. I eat Captain Crunch. I haven't had Captain Crunch in a very long time. That was not a cereal that I would like seek out as a child. My dad liked Frosted Flakes, so like we just sort of had like universal Frosted Flakes. And then Bilbo Swaggins, cereal/cereal snacker, different spellings. Well done, Josh. I'm glad you got that. I assume that went over the heads of most people, but we go to Brooklyn.
A lot of Malik Monk right now.
I feel like you get a lot of Malik Monk all the time.
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know.
How many minutes?
Like 22.
Okay. Yeah, I got him in at 21 right now. I feel like he's somebody that I don't ever get. I have 6% right now. Wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, he's projected for 13% ownership. I'm getting quite a bit more.
Okay. That's how I am on Murray right now, which I feel like is going to be the flip side for this whole, like, I feel like you get a lot of Murray.
Yeah. I'm getting a decent amount of Barnes, not too much of anything else. I certainly wouldn't be upset if I got the more Fox Sabonis, but not really getting there. But using Malik Monk as a decent contrarian play for a 5-game slate.
Man, I wish I could go back in time and like really fade Keegan Murray even more for that first slate or second slate of the year.
Remember when he was good for 2 weeks?
I do. I'm excited for him in the future. I think he's good. Like, I think he's could be like a really high end role player.
Yeah.
You know, the Danny Green type guy, or like just fits with everything. Anyway, Brooklyn. This is where we got to talk. I have a shit ton of Brooklyn, particularly the starters. Bridges, Dinwiddie, DFS, Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton. You know, Bridges and Finney Smith are at 15%. Cam Johnson's at 20. Claxton's at 28. Dinwiddie's at 34. Seth Curry is at 22. We'll dig into that one last, but let's just talk about this starting lineup. How do you feel? Because they grade out really well.
Yeah, I'm getting a ton of Dinwiddie, ton of Bridges, ton of Claxton, ton of Finney Smith. Obviously, you're never as excited to get to Finney Smith as you are to get to Dinwiddie, Claxton, and Bridges, given their ceilings. But $4,800 on this slate is certainly useful. He's projected to go a bit under owned. We have him getting 16% ownership with a 23% chance of being optimal in the boom bust tool. We have Seth Curry going quite a bit over owned, 22% ownership, 13% chance of being optimal. I'm not getting to any of him if that ownership holds. You know, there's a path for him to be good. At 3,300, he's cheap enough, but it's just not the kind of play that I want to play at high ownership. But getting to a lot of Dinwiddie, Bridges, Finney Smith, I think Cam Johnson and Royce O'Neal are fine as well. I'm not getting to nearly as much of them as I am the other four, though.
So I've got a lot of Cam Johnson, particularly at the 21% mark. The only guy in the starting lineup with an MPE, which is also helpful for me.
Yep.
Minutes have been trending up a little bit lately too. So I'm liking that. I did actually take a minute from him. I had him at 33 earlier today. I brought that down to 32, but I think he looks really good. Here's a bigger question for you. And on a day like today, I guess it kind of matters, but I think I know where you're at. How many of these guys would you like realistically want in a lineup?
I capped it at 3.
Okay, so did I. To me, that just feels like, given where most of the prices are here, 4 feels like a stretch.
Yeah, it's not that they're like wildly underpriced or anything. You know, especially if the 4 are like Dinwiddie, Claxton, Johnson, Bridges. Like, it's tough for all of those guys to go out there and get you like 45, 50 fantasy points.
Right. So I'm on the same page then with 3. Like, if the 4th was Curry, then it's a different, like slightly different conversation because you're just asking for something else. But I also don't like Curry, so.
Right. And even then, you know, if you have Dinwiddie, Claxton, like Bridges, for example, Curry's fine, but wouldn't you rather just have like Jeff Green in that lineup or some other random $3,300 guy?
I think so, yes.
Campaign makes sense.
We can't go to anything else here, though, right? Royce O'Neal at 5K. I mean, this dude's minutes, sometimes it's 17, sometimes it's 35. I can't really pin that one down, and he's already 5K. Joe Harris is like the shittier version of Seth Curry, so that doesn't seem great. Nobody else really plays.
Yeah, nothing else looks very good. You know, 5% ownership coming into Royce O'Neal. I got like 3% if the slate started right now. But it's pretty much just building around those main 4 pieces for me.
What are they doing with their rotation? This is more of like a general question because they're really like sort of locking this one down. Like, how do you want to project the minutes for the starters? Because I think you could be ultra aggressive if you want to. I don't really like, I get a lot of leftover minutes that I don't feel comfortable giving them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can too. You look at that last game against Oklahoma City where they lost, but 39 minutes for Cameron Johnson, 38 for Bridges, 39 for Dinwiddie, 34 for Finney Smith. And then the really big and surprising one, 38 and a half minutes for Nick Claxton, who we had seen typically playing around 28 minutes up until recently. I think, you know, getting 31 minute projection for Claxton is reasonable. Expecting mid to upper 30s from the rest of these guys, also reasonable.
Yeah, like I went to 31 on Claxton, but it's not crazy for me to think that a week from now, we're looking back thinking like, shit, we should have been projecting this entire team for 35 minutes across the board.
Agreed.
Which is always like, I'm happy that I'm getting a lot now because I think this would be a spot where I would want to kind of skew towards that just to get it, just to make it happen. But I'm sure today they're going to go out and like all these extra guys are going to get a rotation for some reason. I'm shocked they're not playing Nerlens
26 minutes from Curry at the expense of Dinwiddie, probably.
I'm sure it'll happen for sure. I really thought like Noel would just get straight backup run. I'm kind of surprised, but he has not been good this year, but He's been so good in the past as a backup center.
Yeah, and he didn't play at all last game. The game before that, he only played in the first half. So that was something that had stood out, and I was curious to see what they would do, because in the second half of that game against Denver, Noel didn't play despite Claxton getting in some foul trouble in the third quarter. They just went with smaller lineups when Claxton wasn't out there. Then last game, 0 minutes for Noel and huge minutes for Claxton. So Noel not being in the rotation also makes me feel confident about projecting a couple more minutes for Claxton.
This is the one spot where I wouldn't be surprised to see a rotation, since Sacramento has a real center and Oklahoma City doesn't. Like, it's a lot easier to play 5 out with DFS at the 5 if you're playing the Thunder.
I mean, they did it against the Nuggets, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, ultimately, if you don't want to give Cam Thomas and Nerlens Noel minutes and you somehow aren't getting to the starting 5 here, I don't know where the rest of those minutes are going to. You got to give Nick Claxton 36, and then I promise you he's in every lineup you make. Great spot, though. I mean, Brooklyn getting Sacramento, bad D, pace is great. I think we're on the same page. Who is your favorite net? Or the guy that you expect to get the most of, I guess?
Probably Dinwiddie, but like I'm going to get a ton of all of those guys.
I have 74% Nick Claxton right now.
I have like 54.
That's how my Cam Johnson is. 29 to DFS is the least I have of anybody. I'm over on every single dude. So go Nets. Anything else here?
Chat saying Noel's 10 days up, so he's not even there.
Really? I thought they brought him in firm too.
I'm into DraftKings right now to confirm that.
Let me pull up Spot Track. That'll explain the reason why he's not going to play today. That's for sure. Signed it on the 6th. Today's the 10th day, I think. Wait, 6, 7, 8. No, yesterday was the 10th day. Okay, yeah, they didn't re-up him. Wow, wild. Shout out chat. Hold on. Who actually said it?
Yeah, like okay. 12 people.
No, 12 people can't know that. Not in this chat. Appreciate you, chat. Hit that like button, folks. That will help us out a ton. We got to talk a little bit about Sorare. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I hate that I'm not playing this right now. It's something that I desperately want to dive into. I think this is a product that you can be early to right now and get an understanding of it before this becomes way more of the norm, because this sort of mechanism is going to become the norm. I don't want anybody to think it's just some fad because it's an NFT product. This has been around for a couple of years on the soccer side. Very well established. They do a lot of volume there. They've now partnered with baseball and the NBA. You're buying and selling individual cards and you hold them. So it's not like you're making a lineup today with the Aaron Fox on DraftKings and then like anybody else can have them. Like everybody else can have them in this case, but you are buying that asset and you can keep it for weeks upon weeks to forever if you would like. We run a bunch of Sorare videos on our channel, so go check out any of that content. If you're interested in signing up at Sorare, there is a link in the description. You can get one free limited card after you make your first 5-card purchase on the primary market. And you can get, like, this doesn't have to be a giant outlay. There are very cheap contests for you. I don't want to say to get into because you're not really doing it like that, but you don't have to spend massive amounts of money to put together a lineup for the week. I believe Greg does a video close to every day for this, or at least a few days a week. Highly recommend you guys check this out. You're going to see a lot about Sorare in the future. I've played the soccer side of it. I have not messed around with the NBA side, but that's coming next year for sure. You guys should sign up right now. I just don't have enough time, folks. I'm bringing you guys too much of the goods. I got to cover too many shows for Adam when he doesn't wake up in the morning. So
you didn't cover. You were not available.
Yeah, but
I could pretty much your role on this team is to just fill in when I'm sick or something.
That's my role.
Yeah. Not sure what else you do around here.
Guys, please go sign up at Sorare. You see the banner at the top of the screen. One free limited card. That's a pretty good deal. Look into it. You'll like it. I promise. Got Alabama winning the NCAA tournament. Super chat from Cyber Real Estate. Who do you have? I didn't even fill out a bracket.
Alabama.
I don't even know who's good. Go Duke, I guess.
Yeah, I have Alabama over UCLA.
Is UCLA good?
They're a 2 seed.
Okay, interesting. I had no idea.
I know nothing about college basketball, but I have Alabama over UCLA.
You and me both. Once the video game comes back, baby, I'll be all over this. Oh, S&P, come on. Ricky Rubio strategy shows available but unlikely to host. There's a time in my life where I'd have been happy to be called the Ricky Rubio of anything. I don't know if that's any longer, but OKC, 6.5-point dogs in Toronto, 231 total. For the Thunder, nothing really to talk about. Pretty standard availabilities here. And if you want to believe in narratives, SGA to Canada. He is getting 19% ownership. No one else pulling more than 7%. I didn't really get to anything here other than SGA. I thought I would get a ton of him, and I didn't so far, but would be very happy to.
Yeah, certainly happy to get to him if I can. Right now, I'm not getting much at all of this team, just getting like 1 to 6% ownership of pretty much everybody possible, but yeah, not getting to, a lot of anything. No issues getting to SGA, again, if you can get there, but 19% ownership at 9,600. There's just some other spots that I'm going to. Josh Giddey gives you a very high ceiling, but at 8K, a little bit overpriced for his median. Jalen Williams is priced up. Again, it gives you a good ceiling, but at 7,100, not a lot of margin for error there. Lou Dort coming off of a big game, but he's up to 5,800. There's just not much that stands out from this team outside of just using them to be a little bit different in tournaments.
Yeah, I got 3% of Isaiah Joe, who now has an MPE, which is incredibly valuable for today, oddly enough. Just scattered amounts of everybody. The prices are just sort of where they need to be. Is this a team where we should be looking at their bench, the Ousmane Diengs, the Dario Saric's of the world, or can we just not trust the minutes?
I mean, you don't trust the minutes, but that's kind of why you can look at the bench, because you can't trust the minutes, and you just have a bunch of guys at 3% owned that any given day can just play 5 to 10 minutes more than you're expecting because OKC just does random stuff. But you're also not you're not going to get a lot of them. But mixing in a little bit of Šarić, mixing in maybe a little bit of $3,200 Jang or $3,500 Waters is all fine. But there's nothing that I would expect to be heavy on. If the slate started right now, I'd have 3% of Šarić. I wouldn't have any Waters or Jang or Wiggins.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get any Šarić, Jang, Wiggins, Waters. Don't expect to either. I don't really know what I would have to do to get to OKC here. They're not really grading out the way that I would want them to, but it's not the worst spot in the world. It's not like Toronto's good.
Right.
They feel like they should be good.
It's just pretty efficient pricing, I think.
Yeah. You want to go to the Toronto side?
Yeah, they look much more appealing.
They do. To me, they look just like Brooklyn. Maybe a little bit worse as a whole, but still good. I mean, we're getting 15-ish to 25% ownership going to the 6 guys that matter. Van Vliet, Siakam, Anunoby, Barnes, Pirtle, Trent. Let's start with the conversation that I think is most interesting. Pascal Siakam's 8,400 now.
He sucks.
It's really unappealing. I went through, I looked at his rates and everything, and they've been really bad since Pirtle's been here. He's still been a fantasy point per minute guy, which is interesting to see. And he's going to get the minutes. The power forward center eligibility is great, you just know he's going to come out here and drop 60 on one of these days, and it's going to happen. How do you want to handle him though? How are you making changes to his projections?
Yeah, and it's not just Pirtle either. You've seen him be a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy, really going back to the start of the new year. And my theory is just that Fred VanVleet was banged up at the beginning of the year. I remember us talking about it where, VanVleet wasn't getting to the rim nearly as efficiently or nearly as often as he did. And it was just man, is he done? Is he washed up? Is he hurt? I think he was just playing through an injury. And so as a result, you saw Siakam take on a bigger role offensively. Then VanVleet got healthy, and he's taken some of that usage away from Siakam. You also have Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby obviously involved as well. And then Pirtle being there doesn't help the rebounding numbers for Siakam. So I think he's still playable at 8,400. You're talking about a 1 to 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy, solid spot. Power forward center eligibility, playing huge minutes. I think the ownership's a little bit high though. So if the slate started right now, I'd only be getting to around 10% on him. But clearly a decent price tag. Same can be said for VanVleet at 8,600. You're getting big playing time from Barnes, from Anunoby. Pirtle's giving you 30 to 32 minutes typically. All of these guys look good.
See, I'm pretty neutral on Siakam. I actually have 27%. I'm sure you wouldn't be super mad about you getting that either, but I'm a little surprised to hear that you thought he was overowned. Who do you like the most?
I'm getting the most Pirtle and then Gary Trent at 4,300.
Yeah, Trent is sort of he's certainly the easiest guy to get to. You get the perfect MPE, shooting guard, small forward. He's discounted to 4,300 at this point. I don't trust his minutes, but when you get a Gary Trent game, I think he's playing more than whatever you've projected him for minutes.
He's kind of like Malik Monk to me, but also with shooting guard, small forward eligibility. He's just at this price point that's really useful on a slate where you don't have a lot of good value that you can trust. You're typically getting like 22 to 24 minutes from him. But like you said, if he's shooting well, he can certainly play a couple more minutes. And at 4,300, I think there's just plenty of upside for him. So it's kind of scary because he is pulling 23% ownership and he could conceivably just do nothing in 22 minutes. But there's just not really a lot of better alternatives, I don't think.
And this is a really good game for Toronto to maybe play Jakob Poeltl slightly less if Trent is going well. Siakam to the 5 is like not a problem at all.
Yeah, very easy to do. Are you getting any Chris Boucher?
No.
I have like 10% right now.
How?
Have you seen the cheap plays on this slate?
I don't have enough minutes for him. Like I gave him 14.
13 or 14.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, yeah,
is 13 or 14 minutes of Chris Boucher really worse than like 18 minutes of Seth Curry?
Probably not. But I also don't have Curry, so that's probably a testament to why I'm not getting the pay-ups as much too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting a ton of the pay-ups either, but yeah, it's just, mixing in a little bit of Boucher. Like I don't like it. I wouldn't be upset if it goes away, but if he plays 13, 14 minutes at no ownership, I don't mind it.
Any rules for Toronto?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like you're not going to get Boucher or Achua or Thad or anything enough to like set rules for them. But I saw S&P asking about a max one of Trent or Poeltl. I wouldn't want to set that, but I feel like there is something there.
The issue that I have with that is that's a very likely way that Trent gets more minutes, but it's not the only way. Like you could easily just get, if like Anunoby or Barnes get in foul trouble, you're getting more, or Van Vliet gets in foul trouble, you're getting more minutes for Trent. Really, if anybody gets in foul trouble, probably. But like, and if he's shooting well, like it could easily just be, he takes a couple minutes from Barnes, he takes a couple minutes from Anunoby. It doesn't have to be Poeltl.
Yeah, agreed. I like to me, like I want to set some sort of rule to like massage the Raptors scenario, but I don't think there is one that works. It's just sort of, I'm going to play 3 of these guys at most, and it's probably just going to be a crapshoot of which ones I get. Like I have 20, 27, 24, 21 of Van Vliet, Siakam, and Anunoby, Barnes. It's just like, they're all the same guy to me.
Yeah. Outside of Poeltl and Trent, pretty much the same boat. 11% or 8% Anunoby, 11 Van Vliet, 11 Siakam, 17 Barnes, 39 Poeltl.
A lot of Brooklyn, a lot of Toronto. That's for sure. I don't have anything else here to add. Anything else you want to touch on here for Toronto?
Nope.
Well, now we go to the game that we can't even talk about. But we have a shit ton of time, and we can hit on some of the scenarios. Indiana Pacers, 12.5-point dogs in Milwaukee, 239 total. Q tags on Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, TJ McConnell, no Benedict Mathurin, no Chris Duarte. When everybody is in, this team is wildly unappealing. 10% ownership coming to Jordan Nwora right now. He's probably the best guy you can get to. Obviously, feel free to get to Tyrese Halliburton. Do you expect to get to Indiana if all of those Q tags are available?
No, I have pretty much nothing if they're in. Like 3% McConnell, 1% Nwora, Halliburton, Hield, Brissett. Like, if everybody's in, I think this is probably the least appealing team on the slate.
All right, so let's start hitting some hypotheticals. We'll start with this one. Who do you think is the backup center right now, assuming Turner starts?
Hell if I know. Either Smith or Jackson.
Okay, same page there. If we lose Miles Turner, I'm guessing we agree whoever starts of Jackson and Smith becomes a play.
Yes.
Okay.
Jackson right now, 5,400 on DraftKings. Smith, 5,100 with power forward eligibility.
Okay. Don't really have much to add there. We would have to know who it is, but like right now,
and the
those guys are
a tournament play also, because if the starter gets in foul trouble, you're getting more minutes from the backup, but I wouldn't play them together.
Yeah. And the problem here is just the fact that they're already priced up-ish. We're not really like squeezing out a lot of value. It's not like these guys are 3,800 and we're catching it on a random day, but something we would have to wait for to get that Turner news. That's the easiest one to just talk about on the surface, center to center backups. If we lose Halliburton, obviously Nembhard becomes more interesting from a minutes perspective, but we need to lose Halliburton and McConnell for Nembhard to be anything because he's already 6K, correct?
Yeah, his numbers, his rates this year are just, you need Halliburton off the floor and you need McConnell off the floor.
If we lose Halliburton and McConnell starts, how are we feeling at 5K?
Good. I would like McConnell quite a bit if he's starting.
What's the trickle down for Buddy Hield at 6,400 here?
I think he's kind of, as long as he's in, I think he's just decent regardless. You're not guaranteed more minutes if guys are out. You do get a potential bump in usage, a potential bump in playmaking if you have McConnell and Halliburton out. But I think he's just going to look okay if everybody's in, and then just looks like marginally better as you start rolling guys out.
Is there anybody on the Pacers? Let's just say we get everybody out somehow. Who's the best play from the Pacers? O'Shea Brissett?
So I don't know who starts in place of Chris Duarte. I assume it's either Brissett or Jordan Nwora. One of them would end up looking pretty good. Brissett 3,700 should certainly get playing time if all these guys are out. Same goes for Nwora at 4,700. We know that Nwora typically is going to take on a bigger scoring role than Brissett. So whichever of them starts would look good. The other one would still be playable off the bench, just wouldn't look as good from a playing time standpoint. But if everybody is out, then Nembhard probably is the best play at 6K.
Yeah.
Playing big minutes. He's like a point per minute guy without McConnell.
Until they start George Hill.
Yeah.
The only reason I just look at Brissett is he's the only one that has like the price tag that you need for today.
Right.
It's crazy to me how unappealing this team looks. Like, even if we get a couple of these Q tags out, the prices are sort of already where they need to be in a bad matchup against Milwaukee.
Jaden Ivey unlikely to play big minutes today.
If cleared to play, isn't he probable?
Probable / game time decision.
Of course. Ooh, Luka practiced.
Yeah, so did Kyrie.
Fair enough. I want to say more here about Indiana. I just don't know what it is that we can say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you just need a injury report.
Yeah. And then we go to Milwaukee. Slightly different scenario here. Grayson Allen is still out with his plantar fascia injury. Middleton is available. We got a Q tag on Brook Lopez. Maybe that's all the extra minutes this dude's been playing as of late. Crowder, questionable. He got added throughout the day. Thanasis is out with I don't know. It doesn't matter. And Goran Dragic also questionable. So let's start with Giannis. Power forward center, 12K. If you're choosing between him and Jokic, who do you prefer?
I'm getting the more Jokic right now. It's not a strong preference, but I'd have like 14% Jokic, like 3 or 4% Giannis.
Interesting. Yeah, I've got Giannis by quite a few points, but I'm not exactly getting to a ton of Giannis either, which I don't love. The power forward eligibility certainly helps out here, especially considering I'm getting to like all of the Nick Claxton. Clearly, you don't care which Jokic or Giannis you get. You're happy to get either guy. What else stands out here? Because the guy that I'm getting to the most is Javon Carter, and that makes me sick.
The guy I'm getting to the most is Joe Ingles, so same boat.
Okay.
Nothing really stands out. Either Carter or Connaughton likely to start in place of Grayson Allen. They're both cheap. I'm getting around like 5% of each of them. Ingles coming off the bench, likely to give you mid-20s in minutes. Not a great point per minute guy, but does have a clear role with this team. Played 27 minutes last game. Relatively inexpensive at 4,200. Shooting guard, small forward. So it really just seems like that price range is really useful for me today. Whether it's Ingles, Trent, Monk, I'm just getting to pretty much anybody I can in that price range.
Yeah, sort of the same, but like your Ingles is my Carter. Not that I like that. I gave Carter 24 minutes. You assuming he starts?
Yeah, I mean that's my guess, but certainly could be Connaughton.
Okay. Crowder would obviously, I don't want to say firm up Joe Ingles here, but like you certainly feel a little bit better if Crowder happens to be out. If Crowder is out, does that unlock anything for you? Does that make Pat Connaughton more interesting?
It makes Connaughton a little bit more interesting. I think it's also likely you just get like AJ Green in the rotation.
Yeah.
Or Wesley Matthews.
There's really not a lot to like here.
No, which is surprising because it's such a good matchup. But prices are just up from Giannis being out. It's tough to pay $8,500 for Drew or $8,200 for Middleton when Giannis is in and when the other one is in also.
Yeah, I got 2 shares of Middleton, 1 share of Drew. Like, none of that feels good. I'm not going to be surprised if Drew or Middleton have a big game here, but they're just like not cost efficient for what we have today.
Agreed.
Can't really justify Portis, correct?
Not if Lopez is in. If Lopez is out, I like Portis.
Yeah, I assume we're getting starter Bobby Portis and 30 something minutes.
Yeah, that would be my expectation. And he is only 6,500. He does have power forward eligibility on DraftKings, so he would look good if Lopez is out. But if Lopez is in, you're just expecting like 20, 22 minutes from Portis, which makes it pretty tough to get there.
Feels like a day where they should sit Brook Lopez.
No,
if he's got like anything. Nope. No, you don't think that's that kind of day?
No, I think they should play him 38 minutes.
Sit him after the best ball season ends.
Yeah, exactly.
How long does it run?
Next Sunday, the 26th.
Okay. Anything else we should touch on here for Milwaukee?
Nope.
Alrighty. Then last thing we got to talk about here is the lineup generator. If you're watching this show, well, one, you got to hit the like button. 1,900 of you in here, 238 likes, not enough. If you're watching this show, I think the lineup generator is something that you should at least give a try. And for right now, based on the deal that we have, less than $5 for the first week, it's the easiest time for you to check it out. The worst case scenario here is that you don't like it, you cancel at the end of the week, and you're out $4.48. That's really not that big of a barrier. We generate all of the lineups on the back end. Thousands and thousands and thousands of lineups. We cut that list. We get rid of anything that isn't like up to our standard. We present the rest of it to you guys. Click save if you like that lineup. Click discard, and it'll just pop up another one. You could run those lineups to be contrarian, balanced, chalky, depending on which kind of contest you want to enter. You could lock players. You could lock a player if you want. You could swap players out when they're on the screen. You're getting projections, the ownership. You're seeing the optimal rates. All of this information is there for you. Works fantastic on a mobile device. It'll look great on your phone. So if you're more of a mobile guy looking to build 1 or 2 lineups, this is the tool for you. It's a perfect gateway to like start doing a little bit more multi-entry or even just like really focus on building 1 lineup. So because of the deal that we have right now, again, less than $5 for a week, it's really in your best interest. If you've been on the fence about it, take advantage now while we still have this deal. Come check out our lineup generator. Link in the description or in the description of this video. Final game, late night hammer. Kind of like this slate. Again, I wish we didn't have this siloed 10 o'clock game. Orlando Phoenix is like a sneaky, fun game to watch. I like the Magic. I want them to win the lottery so bad.
That would be fun.
Like, that's just there. Can you imagine if the Suggs pick worked?
If what?
Like, Suggs has been like a pretty big disappointment.
I thought you said the Suns pick.
No, like Suggs has been a pretty big disappointment for what sort of the consensus was for him coming out. Like, if that worked out a little bit, I mean, they've just got so much fun young talent. I'm excited for their future.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it the other day, like them, Memphis, OKC, it's just, they're going to be so good for a while.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that the Bulls pick that they have ends up falling like to number 5 somehow. And the Magic can get like 2 high-end lottery picks again.
Yeah.
Future's bright in Orlando. It's sunny there too, so you should probably wear shades. For the Magic, 8-point dogs, 228 total. Very scattered ownership here. 12 to Fultz, 12 to Carter, 7 to Franz, Paolo, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, 10 to Bull for today. We do have a Q tag on Gary Harris, which, as weird as it sounds, is like incredibly important for today's slate. Does anything stand out to you from Orlando?
I like the lack of ownership. It's clearly not a particularly appealing matchup, but you do have a decent 228.5 total, lowest on the slate, but not like it's crazy low. 7.5 point dogs, but $6,500 price tag for Wendell Carter Jr., 6,400 for Fultz. Those are both certainly reasonable prices. I'm getting to about 22% Carter right now. I'm getting to double the field on Cole Anthony, getting around 15% of him. He played 29 minutes last game. You see his playing time pretty much fluctuate between like 22 and 30 minutes, but at 5,400 and modest ownership, I like getting to him some in tournaments. Certainly somebody, that can get hot off the bench and has some upside at that price tag. So I like him as a contrarian play. Fultz is fine. Wagner, Banchero are fine. Bol is in that Jeff Green category.
Unrelated right now. I don't know if you saw it earlier. This just showed up in my email. Colin Cowherd said that Wiggins is likely to miss the rest of the season.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah. And per a quote to Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, what he's dealing with is some real shit.
I mean, that I think is a given.
Yeah. Well, you never know. It could just be, it depends how close you are with your family. Like I know DeMar's dad or whatever was really sick. Like that's real shit, but it's also not like serious in nature. You kind of know where the end is going, but ultimately that just sucks. I don't want him to have to go through real shit, and two, it's just a bummer. It's probably because he got the shot. Man, $3,100 bowl.
Yeah,
is that
I agree
a thing
with Mike in chat too? Like the longer this goes on, the more it feels like it's something to do with him, like health wise or something.
Oh yeah, weird. I feel like it's not him. I don't know if he has any kids.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because like if it's a kid, then all bets are off. Like I get it. You just stop what you're doing. How do we handle Bol? I think that's the guy that we got to talk about, because there's nothing interesting to say about Banchero or Wagner, Fultz, Carter. Like we know what these guys are doing. How do we handle $3,100 Bol?
I'm not getting the 10%. It's just another spot where if he were like 1-2% ownership, like if you give him the same ownership, lack of ownership, I guess, that Chris Boucher is getting, I would probably be getting 10, 12, 15% of Bol. But at 10% projected ownership, it's just tough for me to want to get to somebody that's likely to play 16, 17 minutes. It's at that ownership, it just seems better to hope he doesn't have a big game.
If Mo Wagner's salary was reasonable today, like to me, that's an interesting spot, but 4,400, you need like a very specific outcome. How much volume do we get of Orlando? Because I'm getting to like 8% of most of the guys.
Yeah, I'm in that range for the most part. I'm north of that on Carter and Cole Anthony, but I think it's just another team where you're kind of just spreading it around to any of these guys. Like all of the prices are fine. None of them stand out as being like obviously good values.
Right. Yeah. Well, same page. All right. If Harris is out, who's starting?
Suggs.
What does that make Suggs then at 4,900?
I think it makes him look fine. I'd be very interested to see what the ownership does between him and Cole Anthony, because I think that the playing time would still be pretty much up in the air, and sort of like whoever's playing better gets more minutes. So if you've got something where, Cole Anthony is like 5% owned and Suggs is like 20, I would like turning some of that Suggs into Cole Anthony. If you get something where, they're both like 12% owned, then I wouldn't really have a strong preference.
I thought I was going to like a little bit more here for Orlando, and I just don't. Like I got 11% of Gary Harris, oddly enough, which sucks. 11% of Fultz, 9 of Anthony. Like that's just sort of where I'm at here. One last guy in type stuff across the board for Orlando. Close this one out with Phoenix.
Yep.
Thank you guys for being here, by the way. We got up to close to 300 likes. For a 5-game slate on a Thursday with this season starting to become a giant pile of slop, it's nice to still see 2,000 people in here. Well, we got to close this out. This is a real game. This is an actual real late night hammer, because there is close to 20% ownership coming into Chris Paul, Ayton, my boy, Josh Okogie, us Joshes stick together, Torrey Craig, and Cam Payne, who is like the chalk value play du jour as a backup. And then Devin Booker, oddly enough, is the least owned guy that plays for Phoenix. Do you see these guys the same way? I think they look a lot like Brooklyn and Toronto.
Yeah, I think they look good. Unfortunately, the guy I'm getting to the most is Torrey Craig, which I hate, but he's only 3,800. He should start typically plays around 26 minutes or so. Just a cheap price tag. He is getting 16% ownership, but I am well north of that, which isn't exciting, but opens up some other stuff. Certainly happy to get to any of the main three guys there. Getting around 21% Paul right now, only about 7% Ayton, 3% Booker. Certainly wouldn't be upset if those numbers come up though. But Josh Okogie showing up around 20% of the time for me. Campaign showing up around 19%. Don't want to play him with Chris Paul. They're typically not sharing the floor. And, while it is a 5-game slate and you could get a decent point per dollar performance from both of them together, it still caps your ceiling if you're not expecting them to really play minutes alongside each other.
I think I know where we'll go here just because they have Terrence Ross now. Would you want to set something like max 2 of Booker, Paul, Payne, or just treat Paul and Payne like they're centers?
I'm just treating Paul and Payne max 1.
Okay. Just trying to talk through, the logic here. I've got basically 35% of Paul, Ayton, Okogie, Craig, and Payne. Like I'm just jamming Phoenix, jamming Toronto, jamming Brooklyn, and like rotating around everybody else. It's weird. The guy that I'm not getting to really, Devin Booker, 10%.
Yeah, I just would obviously like to get more, but just kind of difficult.
Who is the pay up option that you're expecting to be like your preferred, or like the guy that you get, or do you not have one?
I don't really have one. Like
same.
Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, so like mine's Bridges, Siakam, Van Vliet, I guess to a degree, but like from SGA up, that's where the line is. Fox is 8,900, SGA is 96.
The only guy I'm getting double-digit exposure to right now of SGA, Halliburton, Booker, Sabonis, Jokic, and Giannis is Jokic.
Okay. I got 10 of Giannis, 11 of Booker, and 11 of Shea. So it's not like any of those are like giant stands or anything. Would you be setting any other rules for Phoenix? Do you see anything else from the bench? Ish Wainwright, who got 25 minutes on Tuesday, Ross, either one of the center idiots?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Ross's playing time kind of disappear. We know that Phoenix had said they were going to try some different things out with their bench. So it makes me hesitant to go to Ross. You still, could get a 22-minute game from him at 3,700, which would be appealing if you knew that was going to happen at no ownership. But based on rotations we've seen recently, it's tough to really expect that to happen. Wainwright's not a good enough point per minute guy that I'd want to get there. You also had Torrey Craig in some foul trouble last game. So that's why he got those extra minutes at the end. I don't really see much off the bench outside of campaign.
Yeah, I'm on the same page here. So ultimately, Indiana's the swing piece, and even that doesn't really open much up. Like, we're not really waiting on anything that is going to have crazy impacts on this slate.
Yeah, you're waiting on Indiana. You're waiting on Brook Lopez. But even
I guess Brook Lopez does have a big output, right?
Yeah, but for Lopez, it's pretty much like just opening up Portis. It's not. Yeah. It's not like it's making you jam in more Giannis and Drew.
That's a good point. If we lose Lopez and Crowder, you're probably unlocking a little bit more of Connaughton.
Yeah, Connaughton, Ingles.
Yeah.
But even then, like, you're just getting probably AJ Green and Wesley Matthews minutes also.
Right. Interesting slate. Very interesting slate. Going to be just sort of like, you got to get these random ass value plays right, because like there's no right answer to campaign, Joe Ingles, Javon Carter, all these guys that we've named on each one. Like they're all the same, basically. There's no, you get something slightly different than everybody else and hope that today was the day that you got it right. Like I don't, right. Exactly. Like there's nothing, it's not crazy. There's nothing.
Right. Like you're expecting, there. Like, I mean, back to the Boucher thing. I don't have any level of confidence in that. I don't think he's like a good player or anything, but there's no real reason that I would rather play a 10% owned Bull for 16 or 17 minutes instead of an unowned Boucher for 13 or 14.
Anything else we should touch on?
I don't think so.
Live before lock coming up next. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to Sorare for being the sponsor of this show. Good luck to everybody. One more day left in this work week. Big UFC pay-per-view this weekend, and I believe it locks at 1 o'clock. So afternoon card, because it's in England. So even better version of it. I might get just straight wrecked. Going to be here by myself. Going to be a good time. Good luck, everybody. Live before lock coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Stay on this stream. We're out of here. Peace.
Yo, it's that time of week again where we're inducting you fine people into the Stokastic Hall of Fame and giving away some monthly subscriptions to everything on our site, all of our tools right here, just by rocking the Stokastic avatar, finishing top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, and tweeting your wins to @Stokastic Hall of Fame. You're getting the free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. You're getting inducted right here. All you got to do is go to stokastic.com/avatar. Rock that avatar wherever it is you play. Tweet your wins at Stokastic Hall of Fame, and we're in business. Just like Ryan did. How do I go about getting that free membership? Thanks for this content, guys. Congrats, man. $4,800 win right there in the fadeaway. Love to see that. Third place. And then, how about Arnold? He was on here twice last week. He's on here again this week with a much bigger win than both of those. In the 60K mini max, boom. Thanks, guys. First place in the mini max. $3,600 going to Arnold. Congrats, man. Keep that heater going. And Mitchell King was on here last week as well. Hit another one. Moved up to the $1 tournament this time. See, you just keep moving up, man. Then you get those free tools, right? You get the free month, and then you can use them wherever it is you play, no matter the stakes. $2,000 in the end one. Congrats, Mitchell. Keep that going. An ugly 8 game. We've seen him on here plenty of times. Thanks to the great content, Stokastic NBA, and timely news from, yes, the news guy, DFS. Even I can win a free month of Stokastic Platinum. Congrats, dude. And how about Gary Encarnacion? Missed first place by just 1 rebound. I'll take it. $400, second place in the NBA shop. Followed up by Samuel Johnson. Had a nice evening. Again, the mini max. And remember, doesn't matter if you're playing $1 entry, quarter, nickel, $20 entry, as long as it's top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. That is literally all that matters. And you're rocking the Stokastic avatar. Make sure to update it too. Get that new fresh one that you see up here. Samuel Johnson, $283 in the mini max, first place. And then you have Paco, 4OU, $250. My dedication to following the Stokastic Live Before Lock shows pays off. Not a monster score, but not a bad takedown for a quarter investment. There it is. Again, $250 on a quarter. Congrats, man. And Skimmer, to wrap this one up, thanks to Greg Ehrenberg and Neil Orfield for the LBL last-minute advice for third place. Appreciate you. LFG, 4K daily dollar, third place, $125. Congrats to all of you. Remember, download the avatar. Use it wherever it is you play. Hit us up at Stokastic HOF and get that free month. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let us do the bragging for you.
Absolute child. Yeah, we're good. I'm ready. Start the show.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another Stokastic NBA Live Before Lock Thursday night. So we're sponsored by Sorare and the Post Lock Show. Eric and I are going to be building out some Sorare lineups for my account. But in the meantime, we've got an NBA DFS slate to talk about. So as you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And of course, any questions, comments you have, throw those into the YouTube chat if you have a super chat. If you guys are watching in Discord, at me in Discord, I think today will be one of those days we should be able to get to a lot of questions. I mean, we get into a lot of questions typically, but today especially, we should be able to get to all of your guys' Discord questions because there are players on the injury report, but at the same time, too, it's only a 5-game slate and it's not too much to talk about on the 5-game slate as a whole. But Eric, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Just got off the odd shop, throwing everything together. I have a bag packed. I'm heading to spring training in Arizona tomorrow.
Oh, I thought
Excited.
you got kicked out of your house.
Oh. You haven't heard her use the printer anytime recently.
Yeah.
So things have been good on the home front. Things have been good. So yeah, otherwise going to spring training tomorrow with a buddy. So looking forward to that. Go see my folks for a little bit and then come back late Sunday night. It's going to be a good trip.
There we go. So, I mean, my excitement today, other than the meetings I was on, one of them you were on, and then other stuff. I've been doing some work around the house, and it's finally getting nice out here. Thought this was pretty funny. So I had to move a washer and dryer to throw out, and you can't just throw a washer and dryer in the trash. You have to arrange a pickup service.
Correct.
And so this was a whole ordeal, finding a pickup service that was willing to come and everything. So this took like a couple weeks to set up. We bring the washer and dryer outside, turn around, some random guy in a pickup truck just drove past and was interested, put him in his truck and drove away within 30 seconds of us putting him outside. So it took care of itself pretty easily. And now I don't have to pay somebody to come and
it's the Bermuda Triangle from How I Met Your Mother. You just put it out in the curb and the Bermuda Triangle, it takes it away.
That's what happened is I put it outside. My brother and I came inside, walked up the steps to my office, looked out the window of my office, and it was gone. That's how.
Who are these people who pick up stuff on curbs? I've never done it once in my life. I will never do it once in my life, but I appreciate them. I salute you, soldiers.
And the other thing too is these are like very heavy washer and dryers. Like one person should not have been able to lift it by himself, and they don't work. They don't work anymore. They had just been sitting in my basement, and it was spare washer and dryer, and just been there. So we finally threw them out, and there we go. Yeah, some people in chat saying it's scrappers, but they just happen to be driving past my house the second I put it outside. They just have a keen eye for that stuff. But that was the crux of my day. And then, of course, the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm. Cash and tickets, baby. Cash and tickets.
I had a bet on Maryland +3 earlier today. Looked terrible to start. And then, boy, did it pick up as the game went on. But the first, there's always this period with college basketball where I'm excited the tournament's about to start, and then we're like 3 minutes in the first game. It's like, oh, right, I forgot all the players are terrible. It's the same reminder I have every single year.
Yeah. So I'm in a pool where you have to pick, the entire NCAA tournament, and you can't use a 1 seed in the Final Four, but you have to pick 4 teams each round, and once you use them, they're eliminated. So it gets wild to try to figure out, because it's basically done at the Final Four. If somebody gets all Final Four where you didn't pick the team, congratulations. But like I had, and it's all against the spread. So like at least it's doable. It's not like I need to have the absolute stone cold nuts. But my pick today was Princeton, and they are down 1 to Arizona. I think they're going to cover the 15.5 that I had on them there. So that's useful. I wish I had just gone out and bet that, but didn't want to put any propaganda out there. The big thing for me, I think for a lot of people, Furman getting it done against Virginia. Virginia in the tournament, confirmed, not a thing.
Yeah, I know Ben Raza was all over Furman earlier.
Genius.
So shout out to him for sure on that one. Looks like we got some super chats. By the way, just to double check, Jordan, there was no outstanding super chats from the last show today?
Look at that.
Not today? Because
he's a timely coworker. He shows up for his job, and he does it well. Those are 3 things that cannot be said about Shit My Money Share.
No, you can't say any of those things about it.
You can't do a damn one. 0 for 3. It's like
can't say any of them.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, Ricky Rubio from 3. Yeah, Brandon Katz, don't even start the Ricky Rubio crap. It was the horrendous play. 20% Ricky Rubio with unlimited value.
Wait. Ricky Rubio was not popular yesterday.
Oh, I don't know.
He was like
I was talking a couple slates ago. I can't remember. I wasn't on the show yesterday.
Yeah, a couple slates ago. He's like 4% on.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I hated him. him.
Team Brandon Katz. Some super chats to answer first from Chris Williams. It's your Apple guy again. You guys are the best. I haven't tried the lineup generator yet. Does it work for all contests, including Showdown? Hit the like button. These people deserve it. Don't be a Muppet.
Don't be a Muppet.
I'm starting to suspect Chris Williams is a higher up at the company based on this super chat. But
I super chat Nolan Kelly.
Yeah. Nice super chat, Tom Kennedy. It has to be. This is just somebody who's asking us to promote the tools in a super chat. But Chris, we are certainly going to help you out here. And he did tell people not to be a Muppet and to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jordan, could you do a screen share and put the lineup generator up on screen? Pretty, please.
Or don't.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
There it is. Hey, good job, Adam.
There is.
Way to show up for your job and to do it proficiently.
So we'll walk you guys through all of the different features that we currently have in the lineup generator. And if you wouldn't mind, Jordan, just scrolling down so we could show these guys everything that we have. So for right now, we do just have for the main slates. We are aiming for, I don't know if I should give out this information, but I know that we're aiming for in the future. We are planning on having showdown. Hopefully that will be around for the playoffs when the showdown slates are more predominant. We do not currently have it, but it's in the works. It's something that's going to be here at some point. For now, though, we've got it for DraftKings. We got it for FanDuel. We have it for the main slates, and you guys can get access to it using the link below, and you get it for less than $5. So super, super cheap. And this is actually a pretty good slate for us to build out lineups in the lineup generator, right? With it only being a 5-game slate. So let's do it with DraftKings for now, Jordan. And we can do it for FanDuel afterwards as well. So we run some tournament lineups here, and being a 5-game slate, Eric, do you want to do chalky lineups, contrarian, balance? What are your feels on this?
Yeah, I think we got to get a little contrarian. I think there's pretty pronounced chalk when it comes to like these Brooklyn Nets there at the top. I think they're good plays. We have the Cameron Payne stuff. I'd rather get off the board a little bit. Let's avoid the chalky lineups. Let's go to contrarian.
All right, we're going contrarian today, Jordan Klein. Contrarian lineups per Eric Lindquist. That was his request. And we'll see what kind of contrarian plays that this ends up coming out with. And by the way this works, guys, this is based on our simulations, our projections, our ownership projections. And then it's got just tens of thousands of lineups built in here. And the ones that we have projected in our simulations to finish at the top of GPPs more often than not, those are the ones that come in these pool of lineups, and none of them are duplicated. Any lineup you have from this will be a unique one, unless you're just copying the one that's on the screen right now, and a bunch of you are doing it. Then it's going to be one that's copied by a bunch of people. But Jordan, just save a bunch of lineups, save 20 of them. You could save up to 20, and then you could upload them directly to DraftKings, directly to FanDuel, and you can enter them into contests that way. Also, if you guys see a lineup that you don't like, you can discard it. You can throw it in the trash. You tell it to kick rocks, and you go and save the next one to build. So there we go. We save some, we delete some. Let's see what ended up coming out here. So
I saw Lindy Waters in the first one. I don't want Lindy Waters, but other than that, I was here for it.
We did build contrarian lineups.
We did.
He was not going to show up in the chalky lineups. I'll promise you that. But here you guys could see some of the players that we ended up getting the most exposure to making contrarian lineups. And just because we selected contrarian doesn't mean every single individual player is going to be contrarian, but Cam Johnson, Jamal Murray, Dorian Finney-Smith ended up popping up in a bunch of lineups, Torrey Craig, Jakob Poeltl. I was big on Jakob Poeltl for a little bit, not as much as of late, although today could be different. But Eric, what stands out to you about some of the lineups that we have built here?
That's a lot of Cameron Johnson. That's a lot of Jamal Murray. I like it for the most part. I think maybe toning down the Cameron Johnson a tiny bit, mainly because out of all of the Nets, I find him to be my least favorite of the main core guys. I like Seth Curry, Nicholas Claxton, and Dinwiddie a little bit more. Do I want to be running a lot with 4 of those guys? No. Seth Curry, I'm starting to walk back a little bit because, again, I thought that maybe that was a little bullish, if you will. I might have been a little bit too forward with it. We are looking for some type of value. Going to be building out pretty balanced as it stands right now. Jokic, Giannis, pretty tough to get to on this slate at the moment, even though I want to sprinkle them in. We don't have either of them showing up in above 30%, which makes sense on a slate like this. But the main things that stand out, Cameron Johnson, just a balanced piece. I think it has to do with the positionality. I think Jamal Murray, a really good play. Say what you want about Denver. They're playing Detroit. That cures a lot of problems. And then the Torrey Craig play. I think right now he's probably a piece of value that's also uncomfortable that I'm getting to quite a bit. So 3,800, I feel better about him in the late night hammer, being able to just, if something happens, I have some swappability. I can react to how players play rather than just jamming Seth Curry. So I think that the tool gets that correct more than my lineups do at the moment.
Yeah, and currently some players that are on the injury report that could make for some changes as we go along here. Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, and Buddy Hield are all questionable for the Pacers. And then on the other side of that game, Brooke Lopez is questionable. And, oh, by the way, TJ McConnell also questionable for the Pacers. So it's all of the important injury news for the slate all comes from the same game. It's all of it in that Indiana and that Milwaukee game, which starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll go back and build some FanDuel lineups too, just to check out the differences between some of the exposures for DraftKings and FanDuel. We do this. But Eric, normal question that I like to ask, what kind of reservations are you making your lineups? What are you withholding lineup spots for for the potential of news breaking to open up extra value in the Pacers and Bucks game?
Yeah, I think that there's just some preloaded lineups you can have with guys like Tyrese Halliburton, 9,700. You can pretty easily turn that into some of the late night hammer guys. We've got Chris Paul. We've got Devin Booker there for $200 more. You could put a cap. I didn't go as far as to do this, but you could do like a 49,800 cap. And then if you wanted to play a lot of Tyrese Halliburton, you're just going to end up getting to Devin Booker, who I really like again, he's not like a spend up to the Jokic and the Giannis tier, but he's still somebody that I would want to get to. And I'd be all right getting to a little bit extra of. And then you have so many pieces that could show up, whether it's power forward, small forward. I think for me, it's just hoping that we have that extra half hour and that news comes during that half hour show that we're going to be on, where I can turn a lot of these Brooklyn chalk pieces that I have, that I think a lot of people have, and be able to turn that into more Indiana.
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. And I'm hoping we get that news at least before too many of the games lock. Because it does, if we don't get that news until after the Nets Kings game locks, like that's going to be a bit of a disaster. That's going to be really difficult to navigate. But as long as we get that news before 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to have plenty of flexibility to make swaps to the Pacers and Bucks, just based on the amount of Nets and that game that I expect to be in my lineups. 238 total in that game.
Arizona just lost. It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
Again, I took Princeton on the spread, but again, it was for a pool. I didn't even bet it. That's kind of a run bad situation when you identify one of your 4 favorite games to bet and then you don't actually pull the trigger on it. That's not very fun. Again, I don't know college basketball.
So I've been betting a lot of college basketball for the last few hours. And something that I should note about New Jersey, you're not allowed to bet on any New Jersey basketball teams. I was not allowed to pick Princeton in the DraftKings pool. Now, with that said, I was not going to pick them anyway. But it wasn't even an option for me. I couldn't pick them because of the New Jersey regulations.
I don't think I had a pool where I had Princeton beating them, but I know I had Arizona out in the Sweet 16 in a lot of them. So I think that's probably a decent outcome for me.
Yeah. I mean, I assume Arizona is one of the more popular picks. So if you didn't have them going far in your bracket, then did you fill out many brackets or just one?
I filled out 5. And then I have them in, let's see. This one I have them out in the second round, which is good. This one I have them in the Elite 8. So there you go. And then the other 3, I have them out in the 2 in the Sweet 16 and 1 in the second round. So I think it's actually a pretty good, decent outcome.
Yeah, I have one bracket that I just made for the DK ran a Millie Maker contest for brackets. My final is Houston over Creighton. So that's my rooting interest. Creighton's the team that rated out the best on like the 538 projections and on KenPom relative to their seeding and their matchup. So that's going to be my team here. The Creighton, also Doug McDermott and his dad, Greg McDermott, used to be together. I have no clue.
So who was the basketball coach at Iowa State when I was there and I got to be friends with? Coach McDermott at Iowa State. I played golf there, and I was the president of student athletes for SAC for 2 years. So I got to work with him, got to spend some time with him, and he has 2 sons younger than Doug that both played golf. So I spent a lot of time with them.
They sound like losers. We just got some news, by the way. The Milwaukee Bucks, Brooke Lopez is out, Jay Crowder is out. And there we go. We got this news well in advance. Maybe this will encourage the Pacers to get their lineups out, but we've not seen Brooke Lopez miss very much time this year. What are we expecting from the, by the way, there's so many players out for the Bucks. How many guys do they even have active?
I don't know. You're a dick though.
That's reasonable. So they've got Giannis, they've got Middleton, Holiday, Portis, Ingles, Carter, Connaughton. Oh my God. I forgot they got Myers Leonard. I bet he doesn't like me very much.
Hang on. Can I do the thing that he did with the water deal? So Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I thought you were going to talk about if you want to do the other thing that he
No,
did.
I don't want to do the other thing he talked about on stream. That would be very, very bad. I didn't even know that was a word. That's a terrible word. You shouldn't say it, Myers Leonard. But also, is he fantasy viable?
No. I mean, if he starts, sure. I don't expect that to be the case, though.
I don't either. Bobby Portis, right?
Yeah, I would assume that it's Bobby Portis moves into the starting center spot. And the other thing, too, is Myers Leonard hasn't played since, or hasn't been in the rotation, I should say, since March 7th, and he only played 8 minutes in that game. So it's hard for me to think that he's going to really play extended minutes. I expect the starting lineup to be Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, and then Bobby Portis. And I think it's just Portis is gonna slot in spot in.
He's gonna what?
Yeah, I was looking through the lineup and I'm trying to figure out, and I totally got tripped up trying to figure out the
today, Junior.
I 100% deserve that. 120% deserve it more than anything.
I was waiting for you to be like, well, when I was a kid, I got bullied for a stutter, and then I would be the bad guy. I was waiting for that, like that segue.
No. I felt I should have taken that one on the chin.
Good.
Amongst other things, I take on the chin.
Yeah, Justin Gaethje style, just rock hard chin. Let's go.
For the Bucks, though, the thing that I was looking at the rotation, I got tripped up trying to figure out that I wanted to ask you because I don't know what the answer is, and I was trying to figure out in my head as I was going to ask you this question because it's not Myers Leonard, but who do you think could potentially be viable outside of Bobby Portis in the front court for the Bucks? Because I really don't know what these minutes are going to look like, and that's why I was trying to formulate a thought, and I came up with absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no, you just absolutely sucked, and I award you no points. And may God have mercy on your soul.
Fair.
Marion Beauchamp.
You think he plays backup center minutes?
No, I'm just saying. I'm throwing out people. I mean, Jay Crowder's out too. I mean, it falls into both categories where I think Pat Connaughton is probably the guy who sees the biggest bump. He's up to 3,700, but I like getting to him. You get the shooting guard, small forward eligibility. And what do you feel good about with the value today? I'm going to answer for you. Not very good. So why not Pat Connaughton, 3,700 with that eligibility? I think he's the guy that's taking the biggest bump for me. I just updated everything. Bobby Portis, not really all that interesting with Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday. I don't really expect the usage to go crazy. I do expect him to start. And if he ends up starting at 6,500, I'll maybe add a couple extra minutes. But I don't really want to go beyond like 26, 27 minutes for him.
Even if he starts?
I think they have enough. Maybe it depends also what's available on the Indiana side, because if you don't get Miles Turner playing basketball today, they get Isaiah Jackson, kind of an undersized center, Jalen Smith, power forward center, like James Johnson, I suppose could play some minutes, but that's also very undersized for a center. Like there aren't a lot of big bodies on the, no big body hotties over on the Indiana side. That's for sure.
No, what is your definition? Who's the number one big body hottie NBA player? Who do you have in mind when you think of a big body hottie NBA player?
A big body thotty, we could do that. Let's see. Who would it be? Who would be the who's got dumps like a truck? Guys, what?
Kyle Lowry.
They know your butt. Kyle Lowry is chubby. He is chubby in that region. Let's go with, he's out of the league now, but your boy used to be the backup. He was a starting point guard for Minnesota. Who's the guy who backed up in Atlanta? Then he was with Milwaukee last year. Who was that point guard? And you're like, he just got fat and we can't roster him.
Oh, no, that was Corey Joseph, who's still in the NBA.
Jeff Teague, there we are. Jeff Teague's got that big body thotty. Yeah, Jeff Teague. He's got tree trunks for days.
How about Walter Herman? He had terrific hair.
He did. He really did.
I used to have a profile picture of a fantasy basketball team. It was Walter Herman in his underwear sitting on the rim of a basketball hoop at an NBA stadium.
Oh, yeah.
That was good stuff.
That's good
We
stuff.
got a bunch of super chats that came in, and my browser has crashed. I have no information in front of me, so I'm going to start pulling that back up again. Really inconvenient time for that to happen. But some more super chats here. Ryan Nelson. Nuggets try to trade for Butler in the summer.
When I met you in the summer.
That came out of nowhere, and probably not.
A lot of Raymond Felton talk. Did you know at 24 Hour Fitness, I murdered Raymond Felton. Murdered Raymond Felton. By murder, I mean I just pulled up from like 30 feet. He was so big, so out of shape. It was incredible.
I mean, he was out of shape when he played in the NBA.
That's true. He was out of shape playing at 24 Hour Fitness, playing hungover. Him and Rashad McCants were running at 24 Hour Fitness. I went on the Rashad McCants team. That was a good decision.
How long ago was this?
8 years ago, 9 years ago, long time ago.
All right, you guys heard it from Eric. He once beat Raymond Felton at basketball.
Well, I mean, it was 5-on-5, but I mean, let's just say that Raymond Felton did not guard me, gave me no respect, and then he could not move very quickly. It was fun. Eric kills people.
That's not very nice. By the way, that story had no point other than for Eric to say that he beat an NBA player at basketball.
I did. Well, I had Rashad McCants on my team. If anybody remembers who that is, he was very good at basketball.
Went to UNC.
He did go to UNC. They both did. They were hanging out. Lies, not lies. 24 Hour Fitness on, well, it's wherever the ArcLight Theater is. Like Jordan Klein knows. He's a Sunset Boulevard boy. He knows. And he goes and gets his hair cut, gets it real nicely done there.
A lot of people in chat are bringing this up, Eric. You've already gotten banned for saying nuke. I would be careful saying who you've murdered.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to say Raymond Felton murdered. He was in the league. I'm saying I'm very aware that he was in the league at the time. He just didn't guard me, and so he just allowed me to shoot threes, and we beat them. So that's the end of the story. Thank you, Rashad McCants. He scored a lot.
Just taking a page out of Walter White's book. Just tread lightly. Be careful with this. Don't just go tell everybody who it is that you've killed as of late.
I killed Raymond Felton.
To answer Ryan Nelson's question, do you think the Nuggets are going to try to trade for Jimmy Butler this summer?
No.
Yeah, neither do I. Neither do I. Hannah Banana, DK tiers, and I will pull that up. I had DK tiers lineups all built in, ready to go, and I no longer have any tabs open on my computer. So reloading all my lineups and pulling that up, and then Are you dead?
Oh my God. Somebody just said he thought it was a Make-A-Wish kid.
It would explain it. It would explain it. Also, how disappointed would you be if you were a Make-A-Wish kid and you wanted to play basketball with an NBA player and Raymond Felton showed up?
I would be really disappointed.
Well, you guys have killed Eric. He could barely breathe.
Oh my God.
We have to shout out. Who said that in chat?
I don't know. It was the funniest thing I've ever read. I read it and I almost had Diet Coke shoot out my nose. Oh my God. Eric is definitely the guy on the court you don't guard. That was my best characteristic. It was that nobody thought I could shoot, and then I would just make everything. And then it's like, all right, maybe we'll guard him now.
Even when he's in tears, Eric's still humble bragging. I made all the shots.
I did.
They had to guard me. Shout out to
Keone Hunter. I don't suck. But Keone, I mean,
Hunter. Also, shout out, because it was Keone Hunter who said that he thought you were a Make-A-Wish kid.
Oh my God. That was the funniest thing I've ever read in chat ever. And it was a cell phone. So I appreciate you.
I know that we only put people in the Stokastic Hall of Fame for DFS wins, but I think Keone Hunter's got to give him the gold jacket, right? He's got to get an honorable nomination. Like, if you guys want to be in the Stokastic Hall of Fame, you have to download the Stokastic avatar and you have to finish at the top of a GPP. I think we just give Keone Hunter, just nominate him into the Stokastic Hall of Fame.
Oh, I just about died.
Anthony Davis super chat. Make-A-Wish kid, and then I want more laughing emojis than I could count. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number comes next. Anthony Davis, thank you for the super chat. And he also, Keone Hunter, line of the day. You win. You win. Jamal Murray is listed available to play, so we don't have to worry about that. That is a useful piece of information. Some more super chats.
Ivy available to play. There you go. That mattered.
Ivy, and also we should mention that when it comes to Ivy, not going to play very much.
Yeah, I'm not playing.
Found out earlier in the day, but what does that mean to you?
It means that I don't want to play Killian Hayes, because I actually had Killian Hayes interest where I was like, maybe he just plays like 35. I can't talk. 35 minutes of like Killian Hayes or something. I'm going to take Killian Hayes and put him in like 29 minutes, and he's not going to be remotely interesting.
The funny thing is, I know what Eric's feeling right now. Keone made him laugh so hard before, and he was drinking the Coke. He has like the carbonation in his nose right now.
Oh, it's so bad right now. I can't breathe out my nose. It was the funniest shit ever. Oh man, it's so good.
Okay, so we got a couple of DK tier super chats. I have them run right now in front of me, so I can answer your guys'
Go ahead,
questions.
answer them all.
One from, and this is a good timing too. This is going to give Eric a second to collect himself and reminisce about the good times. Think about the time that he murdered Raymond Felton, then he'll be more composed by the time I'm done answering these super chats. Hannah Banana, DK tiers, please. Appreciate you guys. Big love from the banana. And then Ace of Spade, DK tiers. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you for helping me. I also like how Ace of Spade now knows to direct his question at me. He doesn't even entertain the idea that Eric.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Zero interest.
Tier 1, it's a close one between Giannis and Jokic, but the fact that we just had Brook Lopez ruled out actually has me leaning a little bit more towards Giannis over Jokic for Tier 1. Tier 2, SGA. Tier 3, Pascal Siakam. Tier 4, Spencer Dinwiddie. Tier 5, DeAndre Ayton. And then Tier 6 is Nick Claxton. So I hope that helps you guys out. And let's keep the good times rolling with the DK tiers. I know a lot of people have told me they've been having a lot of success with it lately. We appreciate all of the super chats. Have you been able to compose yourself, Eric?
Yeah, no, I have plenty of tiers for you to use for later. You are going to be well quenched. Your thirst will be quenched, my friend. Oh, there you go. Yeah. There they are for you.
That is the good stuff.
I will say, we don't do as many shows together because we're both busy AF, as the kids would say. But we make them count now. Like, I think we make our shows count.
Is that what the kids would say? The kids say they're busy AF?
Yeah, totes. Do bro chill life. Do bro chill like DVCL life.
For sure.
LYFE life.
LMAO. Corey Shea,
SMDH.
3 favorite plays under 4,300. So, Eric, if Corey had to build his set of lineups around 3 players that are 4,300 or less, what are you looking at DraftKings?
So this is a very bold spot, I think, to throw this one out there, but I think Gary Trent at 4,300 gets the nod. I think, because again, this is not your everyday slate where we just have like really good value down here. I think it's going to be Joe Ingles, Gary Trent, and Javon Carter.
Let me see. Is there anybody that I would consider from Milwaukee now that's that cheap with the news on Brook Lopez? I don't think so. So let's see who projects.
Jay Crowder, though, has to add some minutes to other places, too.
The problem is I think they get allocated amongst a handful of people. Like, I think Ingles picks up some. I think Connaughton does. I think Javon Carter does. I think Wes Matthews picks up some of those minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like one guy all of a sudden plays 30. So it doesn't make any of these cheap guys priorities for me. Now, if you had a lineup with Joe Ingles, you have a lineup here with Javon Carter, that's all well and good. I think that these are now viable players who weren't before, but none of them are priorities.
Correct. That is the right way of saying it. I was saying, who do I have projected the most for the most fantasy points in this range? I think it's pretty clearly for me, Gary Trent 1, Joe Ingles 2, Javon Carter 3.
Yeah, I think that is totally reasonable. It looks like it's going to align with what I'm going to have as well. And to answer Corey's question, from my standpoint, 4,300 and below. I agree with you, by the way. Gary, I like Gary Trent a good amount.
I just think he's getting, nobody wants to click on him today. And I'm pretty interested in Gary Trent. And we now have him projected for 21% ownership. That's a lot more than I was expecting at this point in time. But like, I think he's got the best chance out of anybody at that number or below of putting up 25 plus for you. Like, if you made me pick anybody to go for that number, I would take Gary Trent.
So the ones I have projected the best are Gary Trent, Torrey Craig, and Keegan Murray. Those are the 3 I've projected the best.
I mean, it's a 5-game slate with uncomfortable value. Like, you got to play somebody down here if you want access to any of the studs on this slate. Pat Connaughton, I expect to start garnering more ownership as we get closer to lock. So I'm gonna I'm going to hold strong with a little bit of Gary Trent in my life.
Yeah. And Gary Trent's ownership could come down in the next run now. When's the last
Tyrese Halliburton out. Never mind.
This is still hard to react to because we don't know if McConnell's playing or not.
I mean, not really, because you have 55K for him, and then you have Aaron Nesmith, 4,900. You have Nembhard, who's 6K. Like, I think Nembhard's going to be playable. Well, he's not playable if you have McConnell starting, but I'm assuming Nembhard still starts. He's played 33, 36 minutes the last two.
McConnell could, although also if McConnell plays, is he going to have any kind of minutes restriction? Yeah. So let's see. So Tyrese Halliburton ruled out at least 3 games. Miles Turner will play. Buddy Hield will play. What is the point of making Tyrese Halliburton day to day in all these scenarios and now just tell us he's out 3 games? Couldn't we have known that before? But McConnell will play.
Yep, just saw that.
So everybody is in except for Halliburton. That was listed as questionable for
this is not a good spot now. Like, you would think Tyrese Halliburton being out would be a huge plus to everybody. I'm going to take Nembhard. I'm going to put 35 minutes in for him. 34 minutes. I should probably tone that down a little bit considering the spread, but we had him in for around 25 minutes. I'm going to change that to like 33, and I doubt I get to him. Buddy Hield might be the guy that I get to a little bit. Miles Turner's probably the most interesting. At 8,100, the usage has to come up. If it's going to be competitive, he's the reason why. He can get there in 30 minutes. I think Miles Turner's like the only piece I really want to get to from Indy.
And I'm going to explain why I agree with you. And why I think a lot of people might assume, Halliburton's out. Great spot for the Pacers. Halliburton has been out, but so have some of these other players. Miles Turner has been out. So this is actually and same with TJ McConnell. McConnell's been out. So unless McConnell starts, it is kind of hard with this makeup of what the Pacers roster looks like today to really find a ton of value in anybody, because this is still, even with Halliburton being out, more players coming back than not. So I think this is one of the weaker spots actually to target the Pacers that we've had in quite some time. How
is no losing this vote? I cooked Raymond Felton. Raymond Felton didn't know what hit him. It was a little bit of this right there in Raymond Felton, who I'm taller than, by the way, in his mouth hole. It's great.
That's not what I saw.
Whatever.
Not what I saw. You cooked Raymond.
Rashad McCants is built, though. That guy was an athlete. Raymond Felton
is he gonna go ahead of Jeff Teague and Kyle Lowry on your list then?
Well, no, because he's like built like. But Raymond Felton was thick. He was thickles.
But what's your type?
I don't know. I mean, obviously not that. If I'm into you,
fair, very, very fair. Raymond Felton is very bottom heavy. If you pushed Raymond Felton over, I don't know that he'd be able to get back up on his own.
I don't think so. You bring in the crane.
Very low center of gravity. That's actually one of the reasons why the NBA players help pick each other up, is so they don't embarrass guys like Raymond Felton that have too fat of asses to stand up on their own. That's just
Google Eric too was a good baller. Yeah, people don't need to Google me. I was a good golfer, especially. But yes, all conference basketball, no big deal. It's fine.
Next super chat is from Xavier Ford. Monk and Anthony or Pat Connaughton and OG Anunoby on DK. So it's 2v2, Monk and Anthony or Pat Connaughton and OG. I think that's got to be Connaughton and OG now, considering the most recent news.
Connaughton and OG. Oh, Locum, make it stop. No, Thickles. He was Thickles. That was Raymond Felton.
Is that what the kids are also saying these days?
They say Thickles. Tickle me dickles. A little bit of that. Yeah, Thickles.
Eric's tears. Do happy tears carry more nutrients? This should be a good night now. No, unfortunately, the best tears come when Eric's upset because they are saltier and they give me more energy. Better for the electrolytes. Happy tears. Happy tears are no good. Nobody likes happy tears.
No.
They don't taste good at all.
Oh, it's so good.
Look at the Pacers. Are you going to get to any exposure of TJ McConnell?
If he starts, yes. If he doesn't, no.
We just got the starting lineup for the Pistons, by the way. The Pistons starting lineup is Hayes, Ivy, Magruder, Amarui, and Wiseman.
Your hubby's still starting. That's good to know.
Yeah, he sucks, though.
Yeah, well, you're trying to get him out of the league like Raymond Felton so that he can come home to you.
Well, I just want him to be able to play you at basketball, the most local, lifetime fitness around you. And I want him to disprove everything you've been saying about Raymond Felton.
Not going to happen. Although Jake Hari built like a fucking racehorse. That was a bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. So Eric, who gets his ass kicked in basketball by Jake Hari, who's a hockey guy, he can't beat Jake Hari in basketball, but he can beat Raymond Felton. I'm calling bullshit.
9 years ago. We're talking 9 years ago. 9 years ago.
Yes,
I was in way
Raymond
better
Felton was in
shape
the
9
NBA
years
9
ago.
years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else he did? He also came in hungover and decided to try to guard me, which didn't go well. Think I care? I don't care.
I
Again,
think you care a little bit.
I care for sure because I've talked about this forever since it happened.
70% of the audience. We've only put this poll up a few minutes ago. Over 400 people have voted. 70%. 70% of them don't think he did it.
Well, it happened, so it's
70%.
too bad. It's too bad. You'll find out in heaven. Find out in heaven. If I get there, that'd be great.
I think we answered all of those. I'm going to go check our Discord channel now and waiting on that starting lineup for the Indiana Pacers. And that'll be telling. I get concerned. What do you think is the ceiling for McConnell's minutes? How about phrasing it that way?
See, now we're having fun because this is interesting. Do they close with McConnell? Do they, in a blowout, give McConnell a run? I think these are the things we have to kind of consider. I think so. I think at 5K, he's somebody you should probably click on because there's a lot of ways that can work out for you. Like at 5K, we were paying mid sixes there with everybody out. I don't know. I need more than 24 minutes to play TJ McConnell at 5K. If we get that, I expect him to actually be pretty popular, but I don't expect him to start. But does he close in a non-competitive game? What do you think?
No, not in a non-competitive game, especially not coming off an injury.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I don't know. I'm kind of having a tough time because we know what that fantasy point per minute rate can be for him. I mean, he's a 1.05 fantasy point per minute guy, period, end of story, under all circumstances. There's no Tyrese Halliburton off the floor, so automatically I'm bumping that up to around 1.1. And then if I put him in for 24 minutes at 1.1, that's around 26, 27 fantasy points at 5K. I'm going to get to him. Just doing quick math there, but I just, I don't know what to make of it. I guess it's just going to matter. Do people end up deciding that TJ McConnell is worth it to play? And does he get jammed to 20, 30%? I say no. And so I think he's probably somebody we should be getting to, and regardless of the uncertainty we have over him closing or what the minutes could be. I don't think he starts no matter what. If he does start, you just play a bunch of him. But I don't think he starts. I'm just going to play a little bit.
Okay. I think that's totally reasonable for tournaments. And let me refresh the ownership. We did get a run from a few minutes ago. I'll read off the most popular players right now on DraftKings and FanDuel, and then I'll go into Discord and answer some of the questions we have. And there isn't that much crazy chalk today. It's pretty balanced the way the field is looking at this slate. DraftKings ownership. We've got Spencer Dinwiddie projected for 35%. That's the only player for north of 27%. Then we've got Claxton at 27%, Eaton 27%, Pat Connaughton now at 27%, 24% for Cam Payne. Over on FanDuel, there's some more chalky players. Okogie projected for 49% ownership, Cam Johnson 42%, Siakam 36%, Connaughton 35%. Are you surprised how flat the ownership has become on DraftKings?
No, I think it's that kind of a slate where whenever the mid-range becomes accentuated because there's no extreme value or there's no obvious value, I think that's naturally what's going to happen. I like these kind of slates a little bit more because you can pick and choose and you can find leverage anywhere you go, and you're going to have an opportunity to be contrarian. I hate the slates where we have a 70% guy, a 50% guy, and if you play the 50% guy and he ends up failing, you're dead. Or people talk about Sandro yesterday. He puts up 22 and they're complaining in chat, even though he was in every winning lineup anyway. But there are other slates where if you had more center options, he wouldn't be optimal at 85%. And it's just, there are certain slates that I just don't enjoy. I really, really do enjoy the puzzle of this one, where you have to play some uncomfortable pieces. You have to be a little bit riskier. You have to find positive leverage. and make good lineups. You have to maybe have more of the mid-range. You have to pick and choose which studs you want to get to rather than just jamming Giannis and Jokic. So I'm having fun.
Yeah, one thing that was kind of funny yesterday is a lot of it seemed like, oh, Hardy sucks, Mommy sucks. And then what happens? They're both in the optimal lineup yesterday. So
yeah, it's unreal.
Both ended up crushing. Some more super chats. Jet Wayman, I believe you, Eric.
Thanks, Chet. Now you're back in my good graces. He said something on the last show that hurt my feelings, but it's okay. He's back in my good graces now.
Shaolin Verse, you missed my super chat. Actually, sorry, did not do that intentionally, but Jordan just sent me a list of super chats. I'm getting caught up on them now. So I've got them queued up in front of me. Apologies, though. It was just one that got sent to me, but I have it right here. Any games to fade in a FanDuel GPP? Last man, power forward. Are there any teams you are outright fading today?
Let me take a look. Let me see if there's anybody that I don't have. I'm only playing 40 lineups today, so let's see.
I'm looking at
I have 0 Detroit.
Okay. Let me check
I don't have interest in a single Piston in 40 lineups. If I played 150, I'd maybe get to some, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Feels like a team to almost write off completely today. Oma Yuri is the closest I got. Oma Rui.
If you were playing one lineup today, like I don't know how many lineups you're playing, Shaolin, but if you're playing one lineup, I don't think you would have to prioritize any player from the Pistons. Looking through my exposures for FanDuel, the player I got the most exposure to was Amarui, and that was around 10% of him.
Yep.
So
he's the only one.
Like I can't outright say there's a team that you should have 0% of if you're playing multiple lineups. In one lineup, I think that not playing the Pistons, not considering the Pistons, is totally reasonable. We got Mike. Mike left a super chat. I tune in just to watch Greg shit on Eric. Bless up.
You should see him shit on me behind closed doors. Got no reaction from Jordan Klein. He's really watching college basketball intently. You didn't even look up from that one. That was a pretty disturbing one.
Yeah. Eric's talking about Cleveland Steamers and Jordan's just dead face sitting there.
Yeah, and he's thinking of Mannheim Steamroller like it's Christmas. Let's go. It's different. It's a band.
Yeah, Jordan just entered the conversation in the middle. No clue what it is that we're talking about right
now. Not a single care in the world either.
Food, Jamal Murray or Spencer Dinwiddie. Who do you have more exposure to, Murray or Dinwiddie?
Dinwiddie.
It's
for sure.
Dinwiddie for myself.
Dinwiddie's the highest owned player that I have today.
Dinwiddie over Murray for myself as well. The next question here is from Don Icewood. I've got 7K left on DK, guard, and utility. I don't know if there's anybody I want to play for that cheap. Did he say per position or total?
I got 7K left on DK, guard, and utility. Yeah, so 3,500, 3,500. I'm assuming the way that I'm reading it that I would have to get the average of it. You got to rethink some things because Torrey Craig's 3,800. You could play him, but then who at 3,200 do I want to click on? The answer is nobody.
So I would say you could play Payne in the guard spot at 3,400, but then you have 3,600 for the other spot. And who would be the next best? I mean, I guess this isn't that bad. Campaign and Seth Curry. That fits in. That'll be my answer. It's not my favorite.
0% campaign.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite lineup build on the slate, but I think it's serviceable.
Okay,
that's fair. Payne and Seth Curry to fill out those spots.
That is the right way of looking at it. Yes.
The next question that we have here is from Corey Shea. How about Nwora back home or Jalen Smith B-Day? Jalen Smith, don't care that it's his birthday. Miles Turner's back. And then
happy birthday to him, though.
Jordan Nwora also. It's hard to like these Pacers guys when they're getting players back now.
Yeah, and also, here's the thing. I don't know who that fifth starter is going to be. I think it's pretty clear cut, and I think you would agree. Buddy Hield starting, Aaron Nesmith starting, Miles Turner starting, Andrew Nembhard starting. It could be Nwora, and I would have more Nwora interest. It would be McConnell, and I would basically lock McConnell. But it maybe could be O'Shea Brissett. It could maybe be somebody else. I doubt it. Definitely don't think it would be Jalen Smith with Aaron Nesmith playing the 4. So whoever the fifth starter is really matters. We haven't had this construction for a little bit. They change their minds from time to time. McConnell all of a sudden falls out of favor and hasn't started a game since, let's see, since the 15th of February, and he only played 21 minutes in that spot. I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that I want McConnell. I think most people do. It'd be the easiest click, but I think it's more likely that it ends up being Nwora.
JEW in chat is saying, well, Discord chat, I should say. I think contractually, I cannot in goodwill play Myers Leonard. Yeah, I wouldn't be allowed to rush Hashanah dinner anymore if I played Myers Leonard and won a GPP. Just
X him out. Yeah.
I also just don't like him today in general.
Yeah,
I don't think he's.
I don't either.
Unless we end up finding that he's starting. By the way, I should also mention, once again, Eric and I, today's show, sponsored by Sorare. If you guys haven't signed up at Sorare yet, use the link below, because when you do, the first 5 limited card players that you purchase, you're going to get a 6th one totally for free to help you build out your collection there. And in the post-lock show, Eric and I are going to be building some lineups for my account for the upcoming slate on Sorare. Really fun game. It is daily fantasy contest based on collectible player cards. You put them together. There's fun different game formats, and they mix them up every week. So sometimes you'll see ones like you can only play players who are 23 and under. Sometimes you can only play veterans. Fun little wrinkles they add to the game. Like I said, 10 minutes from now, Eric and I are going to build out some lineups for the upcoming Sorare slate, which is going to be running Friday through Sunday. Next super chat here is from Robert Cremutula. Best 5 for FanDuel cash. Let's see. Who would I call the top 5 for FanDuel cash? Cameron Johnson is certainly one of them. Pascal Siakam, Pat Connaughton, Gary Trent. That was 4. As a 5th one, I like Bobby Portis a lot for today. I don't know where you ended up landing on with Bobby Portis, Eric. I like Portis a good amount.
I like Portis. I ended up on a little bit more than I thought. We updated some stuff over here. I do not hate the idea of Bobby Portis. We have him projected for 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, there you go. I put him in for 27 originally. When I updated that, I ended up getting like 45% of him.
And we don't have the starting lineup yet for the Bucks. I am under the assumption that he starts for them.
Then me too. If he doesn't start, then immediately hit eject. But
yes.
I like him. I like getting to a little bit of some of these bench pieces. But Pat Connaughton doesn't feel good, but I think he's probably your best play under 4K today.
Let's see. Is he the guy under 4K I get the most exposure to now? He is. I'm not going to disagree with you. Under 4K.
Said it's wild because he doesn't project well. And we're used to looking at projections and saying, this is a good play, this is a bad play. Based on projections, he doesn't look good. But if you're playing somebody under 4K that you want to feel quote unquote secure about, or a last man in type scenario, I think he's the best play.
I think that totally makes sense. Like I said, he's the cheap guy that I like the most and I get the most exposure to running lineups. It has less to do with him as much as he is serviceable. And there's a lot of good pay up options on the slate and a limited amount of serviceable cheap guys. So we're on the same page there. Trevor Beaver, who are the 5 must plays for DK Cash?
For DK Cash today,
I'm going to say Portis again.
Yep. I'm going to go Portis. Spencer Dinwiddie, like first guy in for me, probably.
Portis, Dinwiddie. Here's where it really gets tough. I'm going to say Giannis is my pay-up option because Brook Lopez is out. But if somebody played Jokic, I wouldn't say that's the end of the world if they played him instead of Giannis. I just prefer Giannis.
It's the right way to look at it.
So that's 3.
I would have TJ McConnell as like a plan because, again, if he starts and you don't have him in cash, you're going to really kick yourself. So maybe you just like click on him anyway. Again, I don't know why Indiana wouldn't want to start him. He's the best option they have.
Well, he's coming off an injury. We don't know if he
might not
be allowed to play full minutes.
That would be the major issue that I'd have with it. So yeah, probably not cash.
I'm going to say Ayton's really popular. He's still benefiting from extra usage without Kevin Durant. We haven't really seen his price go up. So Dinwiddie, Ayton, Bobby Portis. We said Pat Connaughton and Giannis. That'll be the 5.
There you go. That's good. Claxton. I'd play Claxton.
What are you doing with Jokic? Are you playing him comparably to Giannis?
No,
Or-
this is probably the least amount of Jokic I've ever had on a slate. It has nothing to do with the fact that Denver lost 4 in a row. They're massive favorites here. It would make sense to get to a little bit, but I legitimately have 5% of him, and I don't see that changing because I want to have some kind of swappability with this Indiana-Milwaukee spot. If I need to turn it into Phoenix, sweet. I have access for another half hour to be able to get more information. And I kind of like these other center plays. Like I really like getting to for tournaments, 8,400 Pascal Siakam, power forward center. I like Sabonis at 10-1 for cheaper. I mean, the double upside. I mean, he's done it like 3 of his last
5 super chats.
Go. I'm done. Ayton, Pirtle. I like a lot of centers on this slate for tournaments.
So we've got Chris Albers said, I'm playing one lineup in the $12 single entry, playing one lineup. Who are your favorite plays by position? James Magruder asked, who are the top plays at each position on DK for 20 max? So we could answer these together because it's basically the same question.
Well,
for me, a point guard is Spencer Dinwiddie. I assume it's Dinwiddie for you as well.
Yes.
Shooting guard for me is Pat Connaughton for you.
Gary Trent and Connaughton, exact same number.
And then, so I'll go Connaughton at small forward, or I'll go one shooting guard, one small forward between Trent and Connaughton. Power forward for me is Giannis, and center Bobby Portis.
Yeah, small forward, Cameron Johnson and Jordan Nwora, identical number. Bobby Portis at power forward, and at center, Nicholas Claxton.
There we have it. The next super chat, Ryan Renebaum, top captain and utility plays for Sacramento, Brooklyn. I'm going to answer that in the post-lock show where we have a little bit more time. Ben P, what's up with the 26 leverage on TJ? Optimal 50 percentage own 24. I'm going to assume that's just our data getting updated as you were looking at it, because I do not think TJ McConnell is optimal 50% of the time.
That is insane.
And then Jay asking, can I talk about Showdown Magic vs. Sun? So I'm going to build out a couple of sets of Showdown lineups here because we're going to ask about 2 different Showdown games. So that was easy. I thought we were really stretched for time. Then I realized I don't have to answer these right now because we have a little bit of time until those Showdown contests lock. So guys, stick around like 5 minutes from now. I'm going to run lineups for the Nets Kings Showdown game and the Orlando Phoenix one, so I can answer those questions you guys have in Discord. Minor Matt, Miner, not Minor. Ayton or Murray for DK utility?
Ayton.
For utility, let me see who I've projected better.
Ayton by a lot for me.
Okay. Ayton or Murray. So it's not by a lot. I have Ayton projected for 0.2 of a fantasy point more than Jamal Murray. So I do have it fairly close, but Ayton is ultimately who I do have projected a little bit higher. So I'm going to go with Ayton there, Minor Matt. What do you have as the projection gap between them?
3.5.
Ooh, okay. So you're a lot further apart on them than I am. But either way, I still have Ayton projected a little bit better there.
I mean, part of it is positionality too. Like you could say, hey, just best available, but like I like my builds a lot more that I have with Ayton in there.
Okay. I mean, he said it's utility.
Yeah, I knew utility, but also like then I lock up a roster spot. Then I'm forced to play it no matter what. I can't react to anything else with it. I'd rather just hold on to it.
Oh, well, here's the other thing too. Why are you playing somebody in utility from the first game of the night?
It's a great question.
That I didn't even think about that until.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't play somebody in utility from the first game of the night.
Yep.
No need to do that.
That's kind of part of why I answered it that way too, but
even more reason Ayton there.
Yep.
But also, just as a note for you guys, if you're building out lineups and you have the option to play an early starting player in the point guard, utility spot, you go for the point guard spot. You want to give yourself as much flexibility over the course of the night as possible. So the earliest locking players go in the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center spot. Then you fill out the guard forward spots, then the utility spot last. Give yourself as much flexibility as possible. You're handcuffing your lineups a little bit if you're consistently making lineups where you're playing earlier locking players in the utility spot. That's going to cost you some ROI over the course of the season, especially when there's late scratches.
Yep.
All right, I'm building out these showdown lineups. Did you get your lineups?
Oh shit! Michael Jordan looking at selling the Hornets.
He is not a good owner, manager. He's not good at any of that.
Charlotte
kinda
Hornets
surprised
owner
he's-
Michael Jordan engaged in serious talks to sell a majority stake in the franchise.
I'm kind of surprised he stuck with it as long as he could, knowing how competitive he is. But would you want to consistently do something every day that you're terrible at? And he's clearly not gotten better at it over the last 20 years.
He's a lot better at building a golf course. Did you hear about the way that he built his golf course to favor him? Where he'll invite tour pros, but all of the fairways get more narrow the further you hit it. So he'll hit it further back, and then he'll know what he has in. Whereas like the pros and people that he'll play against try to like hit it into very narrow gaps. He literally is better at building random golf courses and being terrible at golf and having it built towards his favoritism than he is at being an NBA owner.
And it's not like he hasn't quit at stuff before, right? Like he was tired of
Quit
playing
gambling?
basketball.
What a
He quit.
quitter.
He went and played baseball. He wasn't good at that. He quit. So why quit at being an owner too? He doesn't know shit about basketball, clearly.
It's a bad take, but yes, I think he knows something about basketball. He doesn't understand how to apparently assess talent.
Which I do think is probably a part of him being so good as a player, right? Because I think he
Probably.
was so absurdly good and driven that it might not even resonate to him that there might be players who just can't do all the things he could.
Jordan
Like,
isn't bad at golf. CW89, Jordan is bad at golf. Not Jordan Klein. Michael Jordan is not very good at golf compared to the average like athlete golfer.
Well, he's better than an average golfer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's better than an average golfer, but like we're talking about like tour pros that he's inviting out to his golf club to go play for money, that he's getting shots and whatever else against. Like he's got a handicap and you're playing it that way, but he designed the golf course to favor him. I
That is
bet
very
MJ
funny.
beats you in golf. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Does he have a handicap that's tracked somewhere?
Let me find out.
What are we going to guess it is?
I would guess like 9.
Really? I think it's lower than that. I'm
Oh,
going
it's
to
a
say
1.2 handicap. I don't believe that.
What is Michael Jordan's handicap? According to various online sources, which are not Eric Lindquist, Michael Jordan's handicap is between 1.3 and 3. I don't remember if I said this out loud or if I just said it in my head, but my guess was going to be 5.
Okay. Yeah, we both skewed higher there. Eric is a moron sometimes. Chuck Deuces, you're a moron sometimes too. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. Eric's handicap has nothing to do with golf. That's probably true too.
Eric's handicap has nothing to do with golf. I mean, it depends which of his handicaps we're talking about.
Anything Eric picks, pick the opposite. That's from Sean V. That is funny to me. Sean V. What are you even talking about anymore?
Now, with that said, though, I mean, we got Michael Jordan drafted Kwame Brown first overall. He has a very, very poor track record of being an owner and general manager of teams. I think there's a lot of evidence that Michael Jordan just doesn't know very much about basketball. I think we have to contemplate that as a reality.
Yep.
Which also we see people say all the time, especially if you watch any of those like TNT halftime shows, and they say that if you want to have your opinion taken seriously, you have to have played the game. And then you see it all the time on Twitter too. Do you even play ball? Do you even watch the games? Well, look, Michael Jordan, who has played more basketball than Michael Jordan, and he still is terrible at evaluating talent.
Is it Landry Fields? Is he the guy who went to Stanford and then played for Toronto? Terrible NBA player. And now he's like the GM of the Hawks. He's younger than us. I think he's like 33 or 34.
Shamet was the GM of a G
Not Landry Shamet. Landry Fields, I think was his name.
Oh, that's what I meant. Landry Fields. I thought he was the GM of a G League team.
Nope, he's the GM of the Hawks.
Really?
No, he is the GM of the Hawks. I was right. There we go.
Interesting.
1988,
By the way,
younger than me.
By the way, he's older than me. He's younger than you. We're not the same age.
Oh,
You're 63 years old. Lots of people are younger than you, including myself and Jordan and everybody who's watching the show, unless Emac's around.
but I still look flawless.
Yeah, Landry Fields.
Eric beat Jordan 9 years ago. See, this is how bad things happen. This is how the propaganda machine works. All of a sudden, I'm saying that I beat Michael Jordan 9 years ago. It's not.
It's not. Yeah, that is absolute bullshit. Eric beat Michael Jordan at basketball 18 years ago, not 9 years ago. These people don't know anything.
Yep.
Also, if Michael Jordan got to play basketball against a Make-A-Wish kid, he was absolutely going to beat the shit out of that kid. There's no way he's letting the kid win.
It's true. Landry Fields also played for the Raptors. I just want people to understand that that is a true statement too.
YouTube, hip, bro, you're a 70s kid? No, Eric is a 60s kid. Oh, also a good point by Team McB. Ray Felton and Landry Fields were Knicks teammates.
See how it all comes full circle?
All right, so here's what we need to do for the next few minutes. I'm going to answer those outstanding super chats about the showdown contest. We got one from... Who were they that asked about them? We had one from Ryan Rennebaum, who wanted to know about the Sacramento-Brooklyn game. And then Jay wanted to know about the Magic Sun showdown game. So I'm going to answer both those questions. Cool. Then we're going to build out some Sorare lineups. Once again, guys, if you haven't signed up at Sorare, use the link we have below. It is going to get you 1 free player card after you purchase 5. You're getting that 6-1 for free. You're only going to get that offer if you sign up using our link below. First super chat here was the one from Ryan Rennebaum, top captain and utility plays for Sacramento and Brooklyn. So at captain, I was so spread out when I did run here. I got no player in more than 20% of lineups at the captain spot. The ones I got the most of, though, were Mikal Bridges, Domantas Sabonis, and Spencer Dinwiddie in that order. And then in the utility spot, Dinwiddie, Sabonis, Claxton, Cam Johnson, De'Aaron Fox were the players that came up the most. If you're looking for a cheapie, Seth Curry was somebody that stood out on the cheap end, as was Dorian Finney-Smith. Finney-Smith, though, is more on the cheaper end of the mid-range, not necessarily as much of a punt play. Seth Curry, only $2,800, one of my favorite salary-saving utility options. So, Ryan, I hope that helps you build out your lineups for Showdown. And then the other one was Jay asking his normal question about the late-night Showdown game. So, Jay wanted to know, talk about the Showdown, Magic versus Suns. Same deal. Ran some lineups. Here's who I ended up getting the most exposure to. At the captain spot, ended up being Devin Booker by a pretty wide margin. The second most rostered captain in my build ended up being DeAndre Ayton, but Booker number 1. There's enough value to where you just spend all the way up at the captain spot. So in the utility spot, got a lot of DeAndre Ayton, got to a lot of Chris Paul. On the cheap end, got a lot of Campaign. Campaign, I think, is a really strong value play for a single game showdown slate. His price is
$3,200.
32. Yeah, so he ended up being the cheap player I got to the most. Yeah. And then
I like Bol a lot too.
I was just about to say that was my, I don't know if he's going to be off the board necessarily, but he was the second most rostered cheap player I got. And if you go Campaign and you go Bol, you can kind of spend up for whoever you want. That's where I get Devin Booker at the captain spot, gets Ayton in the utility spot there. There just aren't very many expensive players from the Orlando side of the game outside of Paulo Banchero. So easy enough to spend up for the studs from Phoenix. And Jay, I hope that helps you build your lineup. Is there anything else you wanted to add from that, Eric? I know you mentioned Bol.
No.
Fair enough. So you know what we're going to do now, and Jordan's already got it queued up. We're going to build some Sorare lineups, and I'm also going to pull up the projections that we have over at Stokastic.com because they are totally free to use. Totally free. Going to pull them up, so we got them to look at as a reference point, and I'm going to tell you guys what some of the data is in the projections in case you guys don't remember from last week or if you've never watched us talk about Sorare before. So a few columns on the screen. You see Jordan's mouse there. You could leave the mouse there, Jordan. So what Jordan has highlighted right there is the value column. That is basically who the best points per dollar plays are over on Sorare, because those two columns to the left of it, last 10 average, that is the equivalent of the player's salary over on Sorare. Players are priced according to whatever their average fantasy score is from their last 10 games of play. And then the projection, pretty clear, just what we're projecting players for the upcoming slate. Some players are going to play 1 game. Some players are going to play 2. I don't think anybody plays 3 in this upcoming slate, but it does happen from time to time. The way that it works if a player plays multiple games, you get the best score out of their 2 games. You don't get the cumulative score of the 2, but still, obviously, it's an advantage if a player plays 2 games as opposed to 1. So some stuff to keep in mind as we build out some Sorare lineups. And go to my account now, Jordan Klein. Let's build out a lineup here. Oh, this will be fun. Go to the common all offense. So the way this works is there is going to be only offensive stats. Blocks and steals don't count. We don't care about them for the sake of this contest. We only care about what the offensive stats are that people go and put up. And I think this makes for some good times. And can you scroll up a little bit, Jordan? Is there an MVP? Yes, it looks like there is an MVP. So with that in mind, put Jokic in there. I can't imagine anybody looks better in this kind of format than Nikola Jokic does. So we'll put Jokic in. And then let's see who else are some of the top-rated value plays for us, Eric, that are not really contingent on defensive stats. Here's one that I know I have, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, last 10 average of 34. His salary is 45.5. Doesn't play much defense. DeMar DeRozan,
DeMar DeRozan is not interested at the defense.
So let's put him in there. Just looking at our projections, who are some of the guys? Do you have the projections pulled up in front of you, by the way, Eric?
Of course I do. I'm an adult.
Okay.
I'm not Adam.
Yeah. Adam would have just left. You'd be like, no, a sponsor.
All right,
Why would I be interested in a sponsor?
Bye. No, I was looking at, I was pretty surprised to see Omar Rui as high as what he was in terms of the value score there. But it does make sense just in terms of what that number would be. You had DeMar DeRozan. I think that one makes sense. Brandon Ingram back in the rotation. Another guy that isn't going to add a ton in terms of defensive stats. Very, very scoring dependent individual. But that Lakers game was a little bit of an outlier for them. I think Brandon Ingram looks like he would be a decent enough play.
I don't know. Do I have Ingram? I can't remember. I do not have Ingram. I agree with you. He would have been though.
Mm-hmm. Just because, anytime you see that cumulative, because it's based on their last couple of performances, you get some of those outlier games like a blowout against the Lakers, stuff like that. That's going to drop their number.
Some questions in Discord. This is from Strixine71. First, he's saying, easy on MJ, sir. I'm only telling the truth.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm MJ obsessed. I would never ever besmirch the good name of MJ, except when we're talking about him owning a basketball team, because he's been very bad at it.
And we've got somebody here, somebody else. It looks like they are backing you up, Eric. This is... there was a Felton comment here. I thought there was. I thought somebody, I will have to circle back on that.
Unlike my story, that is lies, Greg.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
Brad Clayton. Oh, never mind. This was on the, I'm going to take your side on this.
Thank you.
I'm going to take your side.
Appreciate
Brad
it.
Clayton says, no way. Felton definitely cooked Eric at 24. Here's how I know that's not true. Raymond Felton has never cooked anything he hasn't eaten. If Raymond Felton had actually cooked Eric would not be here right now. So that's how we know there's no chance Raymond Felton cooked Eric.
Yeah. It's like The Last of Us and The Preacher.
I've got your back. I've got your
thanks.
back, Eric. A couple more spots to fill here. I'm looking at some of the best points per dollar plays and trying to figure out which of these players are not really that dependent on defensive stats. How about Devin Vassell? I'm pretty sure I have one of him. I think I do anyway.
I could wrestle with Vassell. Let's go.
There we go. So we've got, it shows up a little blurry on my screen, so it's hard to read, Jordan.
Wrestle with Vassell.
What is our average salary for the last two spots? 28? Okay. 28. I think I have a Tyler Hero. That's another guy who rates out pretty well for us and is not dependent on defensive stats. There we go. Put him
that would
in.
count.
Okay, so now we've got 24 to spend. Let's see who's priced right around 24. Keep on scrolling. K-Debates. Yep. Nope. Killian Hayes would have been at one point in time, but not with Ivy back. And I assume that Ivy's going to play a bigger and bigger role going forward. That and Hayes only plays one game on the upcoming slate, so that is going to be a no. Vanderbilt, he's somebody that doesn't look quite as good when we are not getting the defensive stats. Karis LeVert only plays one game on the upcoming slate, so that's a no. Alec Burks, that's a no. Daniel Gafford, also a no. TJ McConnell, interesting. Very, very interesting. McConnell only plays one game, but with the news we just got, Eric, that we are going to get 3 games of no Halliburton.
That feels like an investment I'd be willing to make. And Nembhard has played well enough his last 10. Is probably not in a spot you necessarily want it. Miles Turner, his last 10, probably not in a spot you want it. TJ McConnell would be the value piece you could run into. I would also say Jordan Nwora probably goes up the board for me too.
Jordan Nwora.
Duke up 4-0. Just want to point it out.
I also don't have him, but that aside, let's go TJ McConnell. McConnell for the final spot. TJ McConnell. There we go.
So is Wiseman good? Is Wiseman playing well? Is that a thing that's occurring?
Well, let's
Wiseman
see.
is 4-2. Sure does. 4-3.
I'll pull up the early stats. Yeah, Wiseman off to a 4-3 start. On the other side of the game, Aaron Gordon has 4 points and no other stats. Nikola Jokic, 0 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Have you seen the recent MVP odds?
Has it just gone batshit crazy?
Who would you guess is the favorite to an MVP right
I mean, Embiid now.
It is Joel Embiid. And so it's Joel Embiid as the leader, and Giannis is pretty close to Jokic now, too. We've got a pretty close 3-man race in the MVP, at least according to the betting market.
Milwaukee won 498,362 games in a row. The Nuggets just lost to nobodies for 4 games. They lost at home. They had the worst home loss. I can't even remember who it was against. It was horrendous, though. They obviously went to Toronto and lost. It was the Spurs. They lost at home to the Spurs. That was the dumbest shit ever. It makes sense because, again, we're a reactionary group, and it's totally all right if you just want to sit back, kick your feet up, and wait until the end of the season and then decide who you want to have the MVP. If you made me pick right now, I'd still say Jokic because look at that bench. That bench is the most horrendous group of assembled in the history of mankind. Joel Embiid probably, though, now I'm more on board with than what I was before. I'd put them pretty neck and neck, but it's okay to not have an opinion right now.
It's hard for me to. So here's my vote would be for Jokic, but I'm also not. People get irrationally emotional about debating who the MVP is in a way
because Philadelphia people are batshit crazy.
Dude,
we work with all of them.
Well, that's true. It's like Mike Lawrence. How many pictures do I need to see of him getting out of the shower he sends me, or sunburns, whatever it is that he has going on? He sent. I know Mike's a crazy person. Lawful's
it's a weird thing to say.
Way, and they are certainly weird in their own right. But it's just everybody on Twitter, and it's Nuggets fans, it's Bucks fans, it's Sixers fans. People get incensed about this MVP debate. Same thing. You got Kendrick Perkins and JJ Redick debating on it. Kendrick Perkins is calling saying that not like outright saying the voters are racist, but kind of indicating that's how he feels. And that's what I see. That's what I see on Twitter too. I put up a thing about the MVP odds about Jokic being the MVP when he was it minus 300 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, what are the implications if Jokic wins a third consecutive MVP? Like, where does he rank all time? And I said Bucks fans coming out being like, the only way you think Jokic is MVP is if you're racist. And then it's like, well, this became insanely unfun to talk about now. And then just my notifications went on and on for the next couple of days. But yeah, I don't understand why people get so worked up about who the MVP is. It's very odd to me.
I'm going to get worked up about the fact that Omar Rui just went on like an 8-0 run by himself or something. He's at 8-1. Just disturbing stuff. Jokic, 3 boards, 3 assists. Let's get that triple-double. Let's get back on track, baby. He was hitting at like a 70% clip. And now we're getting plus money again on it, so I'm not feeling completely left out here, but I would like to get him back on track here, get some W's on the win column.
And we did have, I thought the story went the other way. Jeff McLean said Jokic fans sent Philly reporters death threats when they said Jokic should be MVP. I thought that was the other way. I thought there was a Nuggets reporter that made a case for Jokic to be MVP. And then, no, this is what it was. It was Andrew Bailey on Twitter. Okay. Do you know who he is? He's he's like an analytics guy, and he wrote an article with a bunch of weighting the catch-all stats and used that to determine they thought Jokic was the best MVP candidate. And a group of Sixers fans started posting his family members' addresses and contact information.
That's messed up.
So anyway, this is how worked up people
Shout out to the spam filter, though. The chat filter, shout out, because you're doing God's work right now, chat filter.
Yeah.
Like, look how many filtered messages we have.
Yeah,
what is going on?
I'm making sure to make all of them seen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what are we doing? YouTube, you don't have to censor Eric Johnson. He's not saying anything crazy. He's just drunk right now.
Just another day ending in Y. Just burning the midnight oil. Drinking back the old midnight oil.
Throw up a poll, Jordan, if you could. Put up a poll. Who should win MVP? Jokic, Giannis, or Embiid?
Yeah, put it up. I am very curious about this one.
And I'm also going to read off what the most recent betting odds are while we are going over this, because I want to pull it up. As that's loading on my screen, just going to point out for Sorare, these are our top projected players for the upcoming slate. Maybe this helps influence your MVP thoughts. But for the upcoming slate, we do have Joel Embiid projected for the most fantasy points on Sorare. Should that influence how people view the MVP race, Eric? If we have Joel Embiid projected for the most fantasy points of anybody for the Friday to Sunday slate on Sorare?
Yes.
I tend to disagree. I don't think it should be all that important.
No, I think here's the thing. I bet it matters more. Like, I would argue, because what do people care about, Greg? They care about what just recently happened. And if we're talking about a projection on Sorare and what their last 10 average is going to be, I mean, the last 10 average, it's Embiid and Lillard that are both 58. Like, if we're just looking through a vacuum, like through the lens of what is the thing that just happened most recently, that's what the odds are reacting to the most. Like, what just happened? What is people are incapable of thinking beyond past like 3 days.
And also, Chuck's Deuces said that Jokic is a plus defender on every metric besides dunks and threes. I'm pretty sure dunks and threes rates out Jokic fairly well on defense.
They do. And then Embiid as well. I'll pull it up here right now for you.
Yeah.
So we've got in terms of his defensively, this is actually his worst season since his sophomore season in the NBA. But he's still a positive defender, 65th percentile. I mean, he's not going to be Embiid. Embiid is still a really, really good defender. The difference is when you start looking at other ways that Jokic affects the game in terms of his passing, in terms of his vision, in terms of his court sense, like that's going to look different. But if you told me I needed 30 from somebody, 35 from somebody, I'm obviously taking Embiid over Jokic. I'm not an idiot.
My hottest take, that shouldn't be a hot take, is that I'm cool with any of these guys winning MVP.
It's a same take I have. I would have a preference, but I don't care, because you could look at a 90th percentile defender in Joel Embiid and see that he averages 35 a game, basically. The assist rate is still decent. The turnovers are, they're still what they are. He's got a 12% turnover percentage. So, I mean, he's dead middle of the pack there, but there aren't a whole lot of knocks you can put into Joel Embiid's case either.
And I'd say this is probably the only logic that I really don't like if people bring up for MVP stuff is, and by the way, Jake Swell saying Tatum MVP. That's the wrong answer. Anybody,
Correct.
I'll say anybody, as long as it's Jokic, Giannis, or Embiid that win, I think any of those three is totally reasonable. Tatum to me is no, though. He's just not quite on that level of player. Tatum's obviously awesome, but he's not like that top echelon in the same way that those guys are. This is the logic I do not think makes a lot of sense, though, is to just do E-Page in chat said Embiid scored 37 directly on Jokic's head. How many points somebody scored in one head-to-head matchup when it's an 82-game season? Like, the other 81 games are more important than that one game. I wouldn't use that to dictate who wins MVP.
Duke's up 11-0.
What are the scores of the other games? Have they
nothing else has started yet. Duke's the only one going right now. No, Auburn and Iowa. Auburn's up 5. Go Auburn.
And then
be damned, Iowa. Be damned.
We saw that Princeton beat Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other? Wasn't there another game going as we started, though?
No. Just Auburn, Iowa, Oral Roberts, Duke.
There was the Kansas game, but that was not competitive.
That was never competitive at any point in time.
Oh, and Arkansas, Illinois.
Yes. Arkansas, yeah, they were pretty definitive.
We only have 5 minutes left. Oh my God, that went very, very fast. Let me double check Discord to make sure.
Time flies when you're not having fun.
Oh my God, tell me about it. Where do we have? Oh, Jets World. This wasn't really a question, just a general comment here. Jets World says that he had just got his new irons from the personal fitting at the PGA store from his Elite Onyx DK reward. Just waiting to get his woods. Those are pretty cool looking.
It's pretty sick. What do you get?
Callaway. So the way they did it is it was custom fitted.
It's a pretty nice gift.
It was. I'm still waiting for mine, but I got all new Mac stuff. That
was the one everybody was taking.
Yeah, it was just most practical for me.
Yeah.
Where it's a new MacBook Air, new iPad, new iPod. What are the headphones called? I forget.
AirPods.
AirPods. It was just all of the latest of the Mac stuff. So DraftKings really went all out this year with the
shout out to EMAC for making fun of me on the daily. 980,000 crowns. Yes, I'm aware how many crowns I had last year, EMAC. And the fact that DK did not make up the difference. I realized like 3 days beforehand, and I was like, I am not going to go put 20K into play to try to go get the rewards tier above it. I was like, probably not going to happen. I've missed out. It was not good.
Should have just done it. Get all the stuff. Yeah. Oh my God. People are Rodney Magruder. Am I going to have to try to reconcile with him? Because he has 6 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist in the first quarter.
Oh, honey daddy.
Yeah, honey Wiseman, bear. Big first quarter for Rui, big first quarter for Magruder, big first quarter for Wiseman. On the Nuggets side of the game, Jokic is off to a slow start.
4-3-3. He's off to a great start for my purposes.
Almost the end of the first, like for fantasy purposes, though, that's a pretty weak start.
I'm here just for the triple-double. That's all I care about. I bet that. And then if you guys want to check out Twitter, at Eric Lindquist, if you guys want to check out either Chalkboard, we got Greg firing up everything over on Chalkboard. I'm going to be hopping in there from time to time, checking in on everything there. We've got a great free message board for you guys to check out. We have so many different offerings for free bets over there. Check it out. I've got the premium Discord going as well. But on Twitter, I posted it. Mikal Bridges, we're starting to climb, baby. We're laddering. It's Mikal Bridges season.
Yeah, and Mikal Bridges. Actually, that's something I bet Mikal Bridges. I think Lofty bet. I think all of us bet Mikal Bridges today.
We did, but I just bet 2.5, and then 3, then 4, then 5. We're just looking for all the threes and all the land for Mr. 40 minutes a night, 33% usage Mikal Bridges.
Did you get Mikal Bridges over 2.5 threes at plus money?
I did. I got plus 104, and then so there's even money to hit 3. That was on FanDuel because again, my dude Aton, we were doing the show on the Odd Shop, made sure that we got that all covered. So 3, 4, and 5, those are all bet and posted.
Eric Johnson in chat says, "I'm drunk. What do I know?" Oh, I thought he said, "What do I do now?" I was going to say you should be more confused if you're sober. Like this should just be the baseline for you.
What are we trying to accomplish here? This is not a show for weaklings. You jump on board, you get on the wagon, and you never get off. Let's go. You don't get off the wagon. You just get on it.
Jamal Murray. When did Jamal Murray put up all these points? I guess I just missed this when I was looking for it. Jamal Murray is 11 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Wiseman up to 8, 4, and 1.
Jesus Christ.
Is James
nothing like
Wiseman
the game you don't need
MVP
to shoot out?
Is James Wiseman the actual MVP of the NBA?
Has Duren even checked in yet?
No, he's
Duren isn't checked in. They're playing like a tight rotation against Denver. Why is everybody out for Denver's blood right now? Play your normal rotation, Detroit.
Hey, they've made it clear Wiseman is their guy. They like Wiseman over Duren. That's how they feel.
Unbelievable. One is good at basketball. One is bad at basketball. I'll let you pick out which one you think it is.
Duren.
Is which one?
Duren's good. Well, so here's I as of right now, Wiseman is not good. He's played decently as of late, but over the course of his NBA career hasn't been great. I think the Pistons took a good flyer on him though. He's still a very athletic big man that they spent basically nothing to get.
My problem is that like it's the Spider-Man meme with Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley did the same thing. He came out and played well for like 3 weeks and they gave him a boatload of money. Well,
the Bagley contract was always a disaster, But at this point, it's no.
But it's the same thing Wiseman did. Wiseman came in and started playing well the same way that Bagley came in and played well.
The difference, they haven't invested any. They got Wiseman essentially for free, though.
Right. But they're going to have to pay him in the future the same way that they paid Bagley, which was a bad contract the second it happened. Just like any contract you give that's similar to that would look bad instantly, too.
So here we got the final results of the MVP poll. Going to read these off, and then we're going to be done for the night. Nikola Jokic, 54% of the vote. Embiid got 31%. Giannis coming in third at 14%. So there you have it. That's the take from the people. Jokic winning MVP this year. Oh, real quick, super chat from Brandon Wagner. Been missing you boys. Took a break. Good show. Good to have you back, Brandon. And for everybody else who's here, if you haven't done yet, like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I hope you all have a great night. I'm going to be back here tomorrow. I believe Friday night is going to be myself and Neil. We'll be there. Eric is going to be lazy, taking the day off work. So if you guys want to catch him, you could also find him on that Odd Shopper show. So go subscribe to our Odd Shopper channel and like all those videos. Subscribe to them there. But good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.